many young people. And I would like to warmly welcome everyone who decided to spend their afternoon with us. We are already, I think, more than 70 people here. So thank you and for coming and being here.
السلام عليكم جميعا، نرحب بكم في هذا المؤتمر الخاص بمعالجة مشكلة البطالة بشكل عام، عدم وجود وظائف أو مهن، كيف يمكن أن نناقش أو نحل أو نقدم مقترحات لحل مسألة العمل أو الوظائف في العراق. هاي الأزمة، أزمة البطالة الحقيقة هي ليست في العراق وإنما في كل دول العالم موجودة، لكنه بالنسبة لنا ماذا يمكن أن نفعل؟ اليوم سنناقش من خلال أساتذة أكفاء في هذا الموضوع، وأيضا ستكون هناك ورشة عمل، ونلتقي في نهاية المؤتمر اللي هو راح يكون يوم 19/6 حتى نشوف النتائج اللي ممكن نحصل عليها. التفاصيل راح تكون خلال مؤتمر هذا اليوم، الافتتاح هذا اليوم بإذن الله تعالى. نشكر كل من أستاذ دكتور مفيد دنون، أستاذ دكتور سرمد، وعندنا أيضا شيلوبا من جنوب أفريقيا، دكتورة أيضا راح تقدم محاضرة، بالإضافة إلى عندنا نماذج من الطلاب اللي تخرجوا قسم أو باقين بعد ما اكملوا دراستهم، لكنه حققوا نجاح وعكسوا ما استفادوا منه. قسم منهم اشتركوا في دورات سابقة بحيث أنه حققوا نجاح راح يحدثونا بأنفسهم عن هذا النجاح. شكرا. Thank you, دكتورة حي.
Before I quickly tell you a little bit about our partnership and today's program, I would like to say a few words on techniques and etiquette. First of all, not everyone being here in the room is having strong internet. So, and cameras is taking quite some internet capacity. So I would kindly like to ask you, if you're not speaking, to just switch off your cameras. We will take joint pictures in the end, and also if you join us later at this later stage, you are always allowed to switch your camera on. But let's make sure everyone can see and listen the people who want to share something, and switch off your camera. Also, we can only all hear the person speaking if there's not many side effects and voices. So please make sure that your microphones are off when you are not speaking.
بالتأكيد احنا نعرف انه ما الكل عنده بنفس قوة الانترنت عندهم، لكنه قد تحدث تقطعات، قد تحدث كذا. الأفضل هو أنه غلق الميكروفونات لكي لا يؤثر على المتحدثين أي أصوات أخرى. وعندنا في نهاية الجلسة هذا اليوم عندنا صورة تذكارية للجميع، راح نفتح الكاميرات في نهاية المؤتمر هذا اليوم، في نهاية الافتتاح عفوا هذا اليوم. شكرا.
So who are we and why did we organize this conference? RESI stands for Rethink Education and Science in Iraq. It is an international partnership between 3 universities existing since 2016, but it's also a growing network of students and academics from more than 3 continents. We came together with the aim of promoting science, dialogue, and reconciliation, modernizing education, and the aim of promoting internationalization, interdisciplinary and intercultural learning across our 3 universities. We started this partnership between TU Dortmund University and Mosul Universities in 2016, when Mosul University was in a very difficult situation, and we felt it was time to increase more opportunities for students and academics to get connected to other parts of the world, but also for academics and students from other parts of the world to get connected to people in Iraq and share and learn from their experiences. Till today, we have organized 4 conferences in presence where we would all work and meet each other in person. We had organized 1 online conference. So far, we have worked with more than 1,400 students and got to know you. Many of you are still here again, and we are very excited that you are enjoying this work with us. We have a big group of more than 150 lecturers who have supported our activities in the past, and more than 100 of academics have visited us at TU Dortmund University in Germany.
في البداية راح نتحدث من نحن ولماذا هذا المؤتمر. ريسي هو اختصار لإعادة التفكير في التعليم وفي العلم، في التدريس وفي العلم في العراق. الشراكة الدولية بدأت سنة 2016 بين 3 جامعات. في الحقيقة هي بدأت بين جامعة الموصل والتي كانت في وضع صعب آنذاك، كانت جامعة الموصل في النزوح في دهوك، ومع جامعة دورتموند في ألمانيا، ومن ثم تطورت الشراكة إلى 3 جامعات: جامعة الموصل وجامعة دورتموند وجامعة كراتس في النمسا. التعاون بدأ من ذلك الوقت، وكان هناك مشاركة كبيرة من الطلبة والأكاديميين من الجامعات ال3. الأهداف الرئيسية هو التعلم والتحاور وإعادة المصالحة أو المصالحة عفوا بين مختلف طبقات المجتمع. كان في البداية مثل ما نعرف احنا الأزمة اللي مرينا بها من أحداث 2014 وما قام به داعش أدى إلى هناك أنه نظرات شك وأنه عدم وجود ثقة بين مختلف الطبقات أو المذاهب أو القوميات، لكنهم خلال العلم كنا نجمع أكثر من طالب في أكثر من المجموعة، والطلاب اللي يكونون بالمجاميع هم من إثنيات مختلفة، إن كانت ديانات مختلفة أو قوميات مختلفة. جميعهم تعاونوا وبشكل كلش رائع وممتاز، تعاونوا من أجل وضع أفكارهم العلمية من أجل العلم لتطوير أفكار أيضا تخدم المدينة وتخدم المجتمع، بالذات في الموصل وبشكل عام ممكن تكون في العراق. لحد الآن يعني مع إضافة مؤتمر هذا اليوم 1400 طالب قد اشتركوا في كل المؤتمرات اللي قامت بها هذه المجموعة منذ عام 2016. 1400 طالب استفادوا من هذه المؤتمرات وورش العمل وحصلوا على شهادات مشاركة، وقسم منهم حققوا نجاحات راح نسمع بعض من هذه النجاحات. 150 تدريسي ساندوا، 150 تدريسي اشتركوا في هذه ورش العمل والمؤتمرات، ألقوا محاضرات على الطلبة، وأكثر من 100 تدريسي من جامعة الموصل زاروا ألمانيا من خلال نشاط هذه المجموعة. Thank you.
We, as academics, believe universities play a big role and have an important functions to serve for society as one of the places where the most brightest people and trained academics should get into discourses about the big problems of society and also the big global problems of the world, to make sure that we bring together all our knowledge and expertise to reflect and review important issues, and also to advise society on possible solutions. This is an important function universities have all around the world, and we believe exchange dialogues between scientists and experts, but also with future leaders in our societies is very important to ensure and take responsibilities for the development of our country and the world.
نحن كأكاديميين على ثقة مطلقة بأن للجامعة دور مهم في بناء المجتمعات، ومن خلال التحاور والأفكار العلمية والمعلومات اللي نحملها، التحاور مع ليس بيننا كأكاديميين وإنما حتى مع ما نسميهم قادة المستقبل اللي هي الطلاب، بحيث أنه هذا التحاور وهذه المعلومات اللي نمتلكها ونقدم لهم هي بشكل مباشر راح تساهم في تحسين وضعية المجتمع اللي احنا عايشين فيه.
So we decided this time for our online conference, we are going to discuss one of the most highly relevant topics in Iraq of today. For many years, young people are protesting and also many young people are affected by unemployment. This is also affecting universities at large on the question, why do I study if it's gonna be so difficult to find a job later? So we decided, let's bring all of us together and have a scientifically based discussion and exchange on this topic. For this, we developed a concept for an online conference in which today we are very delighted. We have invited distinguished experts to share some of their expertise on this topic. We would then, over the next months, like to meet with all of you in small teams of 8 to 10 people, individual lecturers, students from various departments, reflect on the discussion, discuss and create in small teams some points and projects we consider they're important. And on 19th of June, all of us, the professors, we will come and spend one afternoon and will be listening to what you have to share and what you prepared in your small discussion groups. And we will give future leaders the opportunity to present to us their solution ideas for the problem.
هذا المؤتمر واللي هو انعكاس أزمة البطالة في العراق، اللي بالأصل اللي مؤتمر هذا اليوم اللي راح يعقد راح نسمع من الطلاب آرائهم، وأيضا نحاول نناقش هذا الموضوع. عندنا 3 مفاهيم جديدة هاليوم راح تعرض، ومن خلالها ومن خلال مثل ما ذكرت بالافتتاحية بالبداية أنه راح تكون نقاشات على مدى شهر وتختتم في نهاية الشهر تقريبا 19/6. راح تحدث نقاشات بالذات اللي يهمنا أنه هؤلاء الطلبة ونسميناهم leaders of the future، قادة المستقبل، أنه راح تكون عندهم فرصة أنه يطرحون رأيهم، أفكارهم، وما يمكن تطبيقه، ما يمكن حل أي إشكال ممكن ينحل أو المعضلة أو نساهم في الحل. الموضوع البطالة ذكر الدكتورة هايكة بالبداية أنه الناس يعني الشباب العراقيين يتظاهرون لهذا السبب، هذا واقع. يعني هناك حدثت أكثر من مرة مظاهرات بسبب البطالة، فإذا هي مشكلة بدأت تواجهنا في السنوات الأخيرة. ازدياد السكان، اكو اكثر من سبب، اكو افكار ربما راح يطرحها احد المحاضرين انه هناك هناك فكره دائما انه كل طالب لازم يتخرج ويتوظف يتوظف عند الحكومه، توظيف قطاع عام. هل يمكن حل هاي المعضله؟ هل هناك حلول؟ هذا ما راح نشوفه ان شاء الله.
What do we do today? We learn a little bit more about the conference topics, and we are very delighted. We have 7 experts with us who will share their expertise, and I will introduce all of the experts to you before their speeches. We have two distinguished professors in economics to start and open the conference and share broader perspective, context, facts, and knowledge on, so all of us, we have a better understanding on what unemployment and graduate unemployment means in Iraq. We will then move the focus a little bit away from Iraq and look into another context, the African continent, which also has unemployment issues. And we will look into and we will learn some examples and approaches from the South African perspectives. And then we will have 4 graduates from Mosul University, and we are very delighted to especially hear them today, who will share their success stories and experiences. After that, in the second part of the conference, we will introduce you to our common online learning space, which you will all be able to access. And we will also explain you in detail what to come in our conference and how to find the group you will be working with over the next month.
نعم، ايش راح نتعلم هذا اليوم؟ في البداية عندنا 3 من أكبر الخبراء في الموضوع هذا، اللي هم عندنا 2 خبراء في علم الاقتصاد، أستاذ دكتور سرمد وأستاذ دكتور مفيد. من خبراء الاقتصاد راح يحدثونا ويعطونا ما يلهم الطلبة ويلهمنا في المواضيع. وأيضا راح نبتعد قليلا عن العراق لنذهب إلى جنوب أفريقيا. عندنا أيضا دكتورة من جنوب أفريقيا، شيلوبا، هي اللي أيضا راح تساهم بأفكاره. وأيضا نستضيف 4 من اللي من قادة المستقبل اللي حققوا نجاح، راح يتحدثون لنا عن تجربتهم. ال3 راح يحكون عن خبراتهم الأكاديمية وعلم اللي يحملوه، وال4 من قادة المستقبل راح يحكون تجربة عملية هم قاموا بها بأنفسهم. بعد ذلك راح نقوم بتوضيح الفضاء التعليمي اللي كيف يعني الطلاب اللي مشتركين بالمؤتمر كيف يدخلون إلى هذا الفضاء التعليمي. هناك برنامج خاص راح نتعلم منه كيف الدخول إلى هذا البرنامج، كيف ممكن أن نساهم، ما الذي يمكن أن نستفاد منه في هذا البرنامج. هذه كانت النقطة الثانية.
But now, enough from me. Let's move into the expert talk, and let me take the opportunity to introduce to you our first keynote speaker, who's also one of my dear friends and I think one of the most distinguished experts in the field of economics in Iraq. Professor Dr. Samad Al-Yassin is professor for economics and head of the accounting department at Al-Hatba University. He received his PhD in business administration studying at the University of Rennes in France in 1986. And he also served for more than 40 years in various functions as Mosul University, serving as the head of department, as the head of training. He has also worked as visiting professor at other Iraqi universities, such as the University of Duhok and Salahaddin. Between 1987 and 2003, he also worked extensively as a consultant to many public enterprises and public administration. And between 2003 and 2004, he also served as Director General for the Nineveh Labor Association. He's a distinguished and prized academic, published more than 150 books and academic papers, supervised more than 83 PhD and master theses, and presented at many national and international conferences. And I think we could have not been more honored to have you, Dr. Samad, here with us to speak and to educate us a little bit more on dilemmas, challenges, and solutions to the employment crisis. Dr. Samad, the floor is yours. Thank you for being with us today.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Heike. Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me, everyone. No problem.
Okay.
Perfectly.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Heike. Thank you, University of Mosul, my university. And thank you for Dortmund University and Graz University. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to speak about the problem now, about this international problem in reality. But first of all, I want to go back to the 60s of last century. You know, in Iraq, in the 60s, there had been the nationalization of all big private sector, you know, banks, insurance companies, factories, etc. So the socialism in the time, everything being belonged to the government. In the 70s, the situation changed because of the first world shock, and the revenue of petrol become very, very important in Iraq. So the government obliged everyone to work for the government. You know, all the graduate students must work in the public administration at the time. Anyone refused, they sent police to fetch him back to his job, just like that. In the 80s, the problem changed, the war with Iran. In that time, all the men went to the war. So we remarked in the time significant entrance of women to the job market. In the same times, millions of Egyptian refugee immigrants came to Iraq to replace the men in the war. In the 90s, the war with Kuwait, and that is catastrophic because the embargo against Iraq for more than 10 years, at that time, we find low salaries. You know, for example, in that time, I was working at the university, I have PhD, and more than 20 years of seniority, and my salary at that time was $1.65 a month. You can imagine the situation at that time. So a large number of persons left the public administration. They left all, and the situation is still the same till 2003. After the 2003, you know, the salary, there is a significant change. The salary multiplies by 20 times or more. One time like that. Then returns of all those who left before, they return to their jobs, and in the same times, explosive budget, millions of recruitment in Iraq. You know, in that time, the recruitment is open to everyone. Anyone who wants to work for the public administration, he can enter easily, no problem. So the situation is still the same till 2014, the war with Daesh. At that time, many people went to the war. The creation of a popular crowd, you know, just like army. And since 2000, the situation in 2018, there is the budget is empty in Iraq, low oil revenues, and millions of workers at the public administration. In 2020, you know, everyone knows the COVID-19, the corona, and its effect everywhere in the world, including Iraq. The current situation now in Iraq, we can say there's about 8 million of the population, of Iraqi population, working for the government or have salary from the government. 8 million, you know, 20% of Iraqi population. In the same time, we find the unemployment rate now in Iraq is more than 30%. In reality, there is no statistic. no real statistic to know the number of unemployed persons in Iraq, just like that. Then we can see also in Iraq the stagnation of all economic sectors and limited oil revenues now, with the change of petrol price. Then a huge debt to the national and to the international banks, the government debts for the banks. And we find at the same time weak private sector, very, very weak private sector, sick private sector in reality, weak administration institutions, and Iraq now import everything. Everything now in Iraq is imported from abroad. And that's a real problem now. And there is no Iraqi production at all. I can say that all Iraqis are not optimists about their future. So the big question now, why everyone now want to work for the government? Why everyone want to enter the public administration? I can say for many, many reasons, such as the guaranteed monthly income. You know, salary every month, we count 30 days and got salary at the last of the month, no problem. Then the income in the public sector is better than in the private sector in Iraq. The third, the guarantee now, the job guarantee, and after that, the retirement guarantee. So no one look for guarantees for his life in a country like Iraq. Also, we can say that there is no good jobs in the private sector in Iraq. There is no good job. Many graduate students, they can't find adequate job to their qualification. So they refuse to work in other fields than their specialty. Something interesting, that working for the public administration means working without efforts, easy work, no fatigue, nothing at all, just counting days and have salary at the last of the month, just like that. So it's easy to perform the public administration jobs. I said there's a possibility to combine between more than one jobs. That means working for the administration, working in the public sector, and at the same time working in the private sector. So it's good, it's very good to have more than one salary a month. The position, the working for the administration now give us good social position. You know, it's funny because I can say in the 90s, when someone worked for the government, want to marry, no girl accept to marry him at all. Now, the condition for marriage is working in the government. We're working in the public administration. It's funny, just like that. So after that, I can say, unluckily, I can say many graduate students don't have good qualification to work in other fields outside the administration. And the last one is very, very shocking. I speak about possibility of obtaining many benefits working for the administration, such as presents, post advantages, and perhaps corruption. You know, working for the government perhaps give us these advantages, unluckily. So I can give some suggested solution now for the problem. First of all, we need real statistics, you know, real statistic about the employment in Iraq. I mean, graduate and non-graduate students. So the first thing we need to establish, statistical centers to provide us real figures about the problem. Then establishing specialized consulting offices to provide advices to help the unemployed to find a solution for their future. After that, create center of orientation in the university, in all universities of Iraq. You know, this to orient students for certain subjects, for certain fields of research, study, etc. So after that, they won't have problem in the future after that. Then the government must support the finance creative ideas and finance the creative ideas of youth, of student and youth. We can create a RESI bank as it exists in the United States of America that give money for anyone who have good idea to make his jobs, to start his job, to start to make his idea a reality, etc. Then the other thing is the re-engineering of Iraqi universities, reconsidering the Iraqi universities. Now, that is for the postgraduate students, for master's degree, PhD. I think this concerns these people. That means reducing the unnecessary field of study. You know, now in Iraq, many students study Arabic or history or geography, etc. And after that, they can't find any job after that. Where to work with Arabic PhD? No, not at all. Then, reconsidering educational program in Iraq now and the method of teaching. You know, we still teach our students theoretical things, not practical things. So they will suffer after that. Then we must defining working conditions in the universities to create new jobs. You know, if you look to our university now, you see some professors working 50, 60 hours a week, including me before when I was in the university. Working 60 hours a week, you know, if we limit that with 20 or 15 hours a week, that means we have to hire the other professors. And then determining working hours for the staff, you know, is already determined by the government, but no one respects that. But we must oblige our professors not to exceeding these limits. That means 20 or 14 hours a week for professors, etc. Then separating the evening study from the morning study. You know, in the evening study, we have more students than the morning students. And it is the people pay for the evening study. So we must separate the two universities. We will create two universities, one for the morning, one for the evening, just like that. So we have to find our staff for the evening university. Now the staff of the morning university work in the evening university. Then setting rules that no one can work in more than one university. That means one job, one university. That's all. Well, in the other side, I think we have to setting rules and conditions on private university in Iraq. Well, that means hiring full-time staff, not temporary staff, or then fix the salaries in the private university as the same in the public university. So in that case, the professors of private university not looking for any job or would not look for any job in the government universities. And then limits the working hours, the conditional of work, etc. for the staff. After that, after the university, I think we need to implementing training and rehabilitation for unemployed and graduate to acquire new skills. You know, I think they need to change their direction. So we need training programs. After that, the government must reforming the stopped factories because of the war, because of the situation, etc. Many Iraqi factories, big factories with thousands of employees, are stopped now, are not working anymore. So I think we can reforming these factories and sell these factories to people. Not all of the factory, no, 40% or 50% of the factory being sold as shares, not for one person, no, as shares for people who will be, who work in that factory later. So I think it's very good idea now. Adopting, other point is adopting co-op methods. I mean cooperatives. It's been used in France. You see the big bank, Crédit Agricole or Mutuality, etc. Is the cooperative system. That means many people working in small fields, in small jobs, small work, can be grouped as cooperative methods, so they can work in this difficult market in Iraq now. Then we need cooperation between the private and the public sector in Iraq. So, for example, exemption of taxes on the private sector when he hired people, when we hired unemployed people. So we can give him exemption of taxes. Then the government perhaps can pay. I saw that in France, even here in Iraq, with my experience, I'll talk about that later. We can pay, the government can pay a percentage of new hired salaries. That will aid the private sector to pay some of 30 or 40, 30% of the salary, so we can hire more people. Another thing, we need to unifying benefits, wages, salaries, etc., for all state institutions. As you know, in Iraq now, each ministry pay a different salary from the others for the same qualification of person. Well, another thing is expanding joint projects between young graduates in different cities, different governments in Iraq. So we can focusing on the succeeded project. That means perhaps in 14 or 15 cities we can make projects, and we focus on the succeeded one and let go the other. The other thing is we need to restructuring and reorganizing the public administration workforce in Iraq. You know, you see now in Iraq there's in some ministry there's a surplus of person, in other there's shortage of person. So we need to restructuring all these people, all these people who work for the government, and replace each one with others, etc. I think about something that's very important. It started in Germany in the 1970, I think, 1968, is the flexi time, flexi working schedules. You know, if we make our administration work till 5 o'clock in the afternoon, not to 12 or 1 o'clock, and the people can go to their work 6 or 8 hours a day. You can start 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock, etc. The flexi time, like what in America now is used everywhere in the world. We can use the job sharing, the work sharing. I mean, divide the job between 2 persons at the same time. So, you know, getting salary, not a full salary, but it's better than nothing. Then part-time working and working at home now, as in China, you know, many people work at home. There's no need. So we can economy the transport, other expenses, etc. Other thing is define a accurate job description. No, we don't have job description now in Iraq. Everyone do everything just like that. We need job analysis and we need job specification. That means we can determine the fitness of any person work for the government with his qualities. Is he suitable for this work? Elsewhere, we can get rid of him easily, just like that, and hired one with diplomas, with higher diplomas, etc. Then I think we must establishing incentives for mandatory retirement. I mean early retirement. Anyone who wants to left, well, we give him good incentives, so he'll leave and let his place for another one, another young students, another young graduate, etc. Application of performance appraisal and evaluation of our personnel to determine the poor performer or unproductive people, etc., to replace them. Then determining limits in the private sector for work. You know, hour of working in the private sector, wages, conditions of work, etc. Well, at the end of this, I think we need in reality creating a new culture. We need the creation of a new culture, a new values, a new ethics. That means we must influence students to find their other opportunities to work than working for the government. I think just such as create their own business, working in the private sector, and perhaps some, I can say, find something new and original. At the end, I have 3 questions to think about. One, we are teaching our students art, science, technology, medicine, literature, etc. in our universities, but we don't teach them how to start their own projects, how to start their working life, how to build their own future. You know, studying abroad, as I saw in France or elsewhere, the students, the day he left the school, he can find job. He can create job. In Harvard, we say, create our job, not looking for, working for other one. The second question is, we need to change culture, values, ethics, as I talked before. The prejudice idea that everyone must work for the government, for the public administration. The third one, and I think is for you, Dr. Heike, this the third one. What will be the future of our universities? Do students still going to universities in the future without hoping to find job or a work, to find a job or a work, without any chance of good career in the future? I think is over. Just let me 1 minute to say that in 2003, I used to be the president of the NLA in Mosul. That means Nineveh's Labor Association. In that time, we started a program with the aid of Americans at the time to hire people as a temporary work. So more than 150,000 people registered his name as applicant for work. We hired more than 65,000 in that time. We gave them $60 a month. That means too much in Iraq at the time. So we hired more than 70,000 people. We sent them everywhere. About them, 26,000 teachers in school. About 3,000 in the University of Mosul. Most of them now are still working in the university. Now they become permanent agents now in the government. But I want to say that 85% of our statistic in that time, that 85% are graduate students. And that's the problem. Well, thank you very much. I'm ready for any question, you know, in English, Arabic, or French, as you want. Thank you very much for this opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samad. A lot of big ideas, many suggestions spinning around in my head. I'm the German keeper of time. I will allow for questions of clarification, but as this is a student conference, I will allow for questions from students. I think we academics, professors have so many opportunities to engage. So if there are students who would have questions for clarifications, you're warmly invited to post them in the chat or open your microphone and ask your question. We will take about maximum 5 minutes for that.
بما أنه المؤتمر هو للطلاب فدكتورة هايك ستسمح بأسئلة من الطلبة وكحد أقصى 5 دقائق لضيق الوقت وذكرت أنه هي راح تستخدم الأسلوب الألماني في تحديد الوقت. أي سؤال من الطلبة؟
Yeah. So I know Dr. Ibrahim, Dr. Obey, you're burning to comment and to make, but this is a student conference today. So if there are students who would like to ask questions for clarification, I think it should be their opportunity today.
حقيقة كان هناك طرح بالشات من قبل محمد خلف، ما أعرف إذا هو طالب أم تدريسي، بس ذكر أنه دكتور سرمد ما أجمل طرحك وأفكارك الرائعة. One of the notes wrote by Muhammad Khalaf, he said, how is beauty the concepts that Dr. Sarmad submitted in this lecture. That was his note.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, so then thank you very much, Dr. Samad. I think you gave us so many ideas also to further discuss in our group. I'd like to take the opportunity to give the floor to our second keynote speaker, who's Professor Dr. Mofid Danon, who's actually really one of the fathers of this cooperation, and without him, also this conference today would have never happened. So we are all very grateful for him also to be here and to speak to us today. And not just because of that, he's also one of the distinguished experts in the field of economics. He's professor of economic development at Mosul University, and he has between 2015 and 2019 served as the vice president for scientific affairs of Mosul University, and in this role being one of the initiators of this partnership and also making a conference as this between these three universities happening. He has also been the Dean of the College of Political Sciences between 2007 and 2014. So he's always worked at the interplay between economics and also politics. So I think in that also we can be delighted to have him here today and share his expertise. He's worked as visiting professors and lecturers at various universities, to mention Duhok, Erbil, Hadramaut, Ibn, and he won many local and international awards and certificates. Widely published, 43 books and academic papers, supervised almost 60 PhD and master's theses, and presented as an expert from Iraq as many national and international conferences. And we are so honored to have you here to speak to us today and to shed some light on graduate unemployment and possible scenarios for entering the job market. Dr. Mofid, the floor is yours. Thank you very much for being with us today. You have to switch on your microphone. I think we are not yet hearing.
Thank you very much, Dr. Haik, for your lovely introducing. Please share my presentation. Yes. Today we will talk about graduate unemployment and possible scenarios for engaged in labor market. I will discuss the ideas in Arabic, please. Next one. المسائل الأساسية التي سوف نطرحها في هذا الموضوع هي كم هو حجم البطالة في العراق؟ هل هو كبير جدا أم ليس كبير بدرجة؟ هل البطالة في العراق هي كبيرة مقارنة بالدول الأخرى المماثلة للعراق والمجموعات الدولية الأخرى؟ هل البطالة هي متناسبة بين الذكور والإناث؟ هل البطالة أكبر بين المخرجين مقارنة بالآخرين؟ ما الذي يسبب البطالة؟ لدينا عوامل العرض مقابل عوامل الطلب. هل الحكومة مساعدة، عنصر مساعد في تقليل البطالة أم أنها عنصر يزيد البطالة؟ ما هي السياسات العامة المطلوبة؟ وأخيراً بعض الأفكار الأخرى. Next please. كم هو حجم البطالة؟ هل هو كبير جداً؟ هذا الجدول اللي أمامنا يعطينا معدل البطالة في العراق في ما بين سنوات سنة 2000 إلى 2020 خلال 20 سنة الماضية. نلاحظ من خلال هذا الشكل البياني المرفق أن البطالة انخفضت ما بين سنة 2000 إلى 2012 بشكل كبير، ثم عادت للارتفاع بشكل أكبر مما كانت عليه في سنة 2000. هذا الانخفاض وهذا الارتفاع كان مرده إلى قيام الحكومة في السنوات ما بعد سنة 2004 بزيادة التوظيف وزيادة فرص العمل لدى الحكومة، لكنه بعد 2012 وانخفاض إيرادات النفط وانخفاضات الإيرادات الحكومية قللت الحكومة من التوظيف في مؤسساتها، لهذا ازدادت البطالة بشكل مضطرد بعد عام 2012 لغاية 2020. Next please. هل العراق هو الأكبر بطالة بين الدول أم هناك توازن في هذا الموضوع؟ هذا الجدول يبين أن حجم البطالة أو معدل البطالة في العراق مع العالم العربي مع دول الشرق الأوسط عفوا دول الدخل المتوسط اللي هو العراق واحدة منها، مع العالم مع بعض الدول المجاورة اللي هي شبيهة بالعراق مثل إيران، الكويت والأردن. في العراق يبلغ معدل البطالة في عام 2020 12.8%. هذه حسب تقديرات ILO اللي هي منظمة العمل الدولية. في العالم العربي هذا المعدل يبلغ 9.9%. في دول الدخل المتوسط يبلغ 5.1%. على مستوى العالم يبلغ 4.9%. راح نشوف بعض الدول الأخرى مثل إيران 12%، الكويت 2%، في السعودية 5%، في الأردن 14 و9 تقريبا 15%. إذن العراق فيه معدل بطالة عالي جدا مقارنة بالدول الأخرى. الأردن هو يعني دولة من الدول يعني الفقيرة، وبالتالي يعني من غير المستغرب أن يكون بها معدل البطالة بهذا المستوى، لكنه مقارنة بالدول الأخرى نلاحظ أن العراق هو من بين الدول الأعلى في معدلات البطالة. Next please. هل البطالة ما بين الإناث والذكور متوازنة أم أنها تميل لصالح جهة دون أخرى؟ في سنة 2019 من بين كل 100 أنثى، ما بين كل 100 سيدة هناك 30 سيدة بدون عمل. في حالة بطالة، بينما بين الذكور بين الرجال كل 100 رجل هناك 10 فقط غير قادرين على الحصول على عمل، 10% عفوا هم في حالة بطالة، 90% في حالة عمل. إذا الكفة هنا تميل لصالح الذكور بالضد من الإناث. هذا الموضوع سوف نعود إليه في وقت لاحق. Next please. كيف تتوزع البطالة ما بين المستويات التعليمية المختلفة؟ راح نشوف أنه من بين الحاصلين على تعليم عالي تقريبا 9% منهم في حالة بطالة، 9% من الحاصلين على تعليم عالي، في حين أنه الحاصلين على تعليم متوسط أو ثانوي فقط بحدود 6% هم في حالة بطالة. من الحاصلين على تعليم أساسي فقط 7.5% هم في حالة بطالة. إذا قارنا هذه الأرقام راح نشوف أنه أفضل الفئات التي تحصل على وظائف هي تلك التي لديها تعليم ثانوي، بينما التي لديها تعليم عالي هي تعتبر الأكثر بطالة في المجتمع. هذا يعطينا مؤشر اللي ممكن أنه أشار له دكتور سرمد، أنه ما هو مستوى التعليم الملائم بالنسبة لحالة العراق. راح نشوف أنه التعليم اللي هو تستطيع أن يمتص سوق العمل هو التعليم الثانوي وليس التعليم العالي. Next please. نرجع الآن إلى تحليل هذه الأرقام اللي شفناها. لماذا لدينا بطالة؟ ما هي الأسباب الكامنة وراء البطالة؟ سوق العمل بشكل عام فيه قوتين، قوة عرض وقوة طلب. قوة الطلب بمعنى أنه من يطلب العمل؟ من يطلب العمل هم القطاع الخاص والحكومة. القطاع الخاص في العراق هو قطاع صغير نسبياً مقارنة بالقطاع الحكومي، وبالتالي قدرته على امتصاص قوة العمل محدودة جدا. القطاع الحكومي هو أكبر ولديه موارد مالية كبيرة، لكن المشكلة أنه طلبه على العمل لا يتحدد بالحاجة إلى العمل بقدر قدرة الحكومة على دفع الرواتب. فنشوف أنه يعني عودة إلى الشكل الأول في أول شريحة اللي تكلمنا عنه، أنه عندما كانت الدولة في حالة يسر مالي بسبب ارتفاع أسعار النفط وزيادة إيراداتها النفطية، استطاعت أن تمول توظيف عدد كبير من الناس، فقلت معدلات البطالة بشكل كبير جدا خلال السنوات الأولى ما بين يعني خلال العقد الأول من القرن ال21. لكنه بعد العقد الأول مع ابتداء العقد الثاني ابتدأت المشاكل الاقتصادية، مشاكل سوق النفط وانخفاض أسعار النفط تذبذبها في بعض الأحيان، إضافة إلى المشاكل السياسية والأمنية التي أحاطت بالعراق اللي استنزفت الميزانية. لم يعد لدى الحكومة قدرة على توظيف الناس، وبالتالي أصبح الكثيرين هم خارج إطار العمل في حالة بطالة. إذن هذا جانب الطلب على العمل. الجانب الآخر اللي يحدد يعني كم من الناس سوف يكون في حالة بطالة وكم سيدخلون إلى قوة العمل هو جانب العرض. هذا الجانب يتضمن 3 عناصر أساسية. العنصر الأول أنه النمو السكاني في العراق هو نمو كبير جدا. يعني في السنة الأخيرة حسب وزارة التخطيط، حسب بيانات وزارة التخطيط، أضيف 1,000,000 نسمة إلى سكان العراق في سنة 2020 فقط. في كل سنة يزداد سكان العراق بمقدار 1,000,000 نسمة، وهذا الحقيقة الرقم كبير جدا في دولة مثل العراق بإمكانيات القطاع الخاص المحدودة الموجودة. فإذا هذا النمو السكاني يضيف دائما إلى قوة العمل أعداد متزايدة ومضاعفة يعجز سوق العمل عن استيعابها. النقطة الثانية هو ليس فقط الأعداد هي التي تحدد ما معروض من العمل، وإنما نوعية الخريجين. نوعية الخريجين من حيث المستويات التعليمية المطلوبة في سوق العمل، ومن حيث الخبرة الأكاديمية. نوعية الخريجين الموجودة تصلح للعمل في القطاع الحكومي. لماذا؟ لأنه الحكومة عندما تذهب أنت للعمل لدى الحكومة لا يسألونك عن الخبرات التي تمتلكها، وإنما يسألونك عن الشهادة التي تمتلكها. بالتالي الحصول على الشهادة فقط هو الممر إلى الوظيفة الحكومية، في حين أنه القطاع الخاص لا تتحدد الحصول على الوظيفة فيه على نوع الشهادة، وإنما على الخبرة. ضعف الخبرات العملية والنظرية الحقيقة لدى خريجي الجامعات هو سبب أساسي من أسباب عدم قدرة القطاع الخاص على استيعاب قوة العمل المتنامية. لاحظنا من خلال الجداول السابقة أنه قدرة السوق على امتصاص قوة العمل ذات المؤهلات الثانوية أكثر من قدرتها على امتصاص ذوي المؤهلات العالية. أيضا هذا يعني ممكن أن يرجع إلى نوع الخبرات التي يمتلكها وإلى نوع فرص العمل الموجودة في القطاع الخاص التي تستوعب فقط ذوي المؤهلات المتدنية أو المتوسطة إن صح التعبير، المتوسطة وليس العالية. Next please دكتور هايك. هل الحكومة ممكن أن تكون حل مقبول؟ هل توفر حلول؟ عدد العاملين لدى الدولة، موظفي الدولة، حسب إحصائية عام 2021 في ميزانية الدولة لسنة 2021 يبلغ العدد 3,263,894 عامل موظف. هذا الرقم يمثل لنا ثلث قوة العمل في العراق. ثلث قوة العمل في العراق. قوة العمل تبلغ تقريبا بلس ماينس 10 مليون، ف3 مليون وربع تقريبا يعملون لدى الدولة. ماذا يعني هذا؟ يعني أنه كل شخص كل موظف في العراق يخدم 12 شخص من سكان العراق، من المواطنين العراقيين. 12 شخص، هذا رقم قليل جدا. إذا قارناه بدول أخرى راح نشوف أنه مثلا إذا قارنا هذا الرقم بدول الOECD، كل موظف في الOECD في دول الOECD يخدم 65 شخص في هذه الدول. في أمريكا عندنا كل موظف يخدم بحدود 67 شخص من المواطنين في أمريكا. في النرويج كل موظف حكومي يخدم بحدود 75.5 شخص في النرويج. في البرازيل وهي دولة نامية كل موظف يخدم 66 تقريبا ما يقارب 67 شخص من البرازيليين. في كوريا الجنوبية كل موظف يخدم 64.4 شخص. أكبر رقم أو أقل رقم عفوا أقل رقم وجد في اليونان. في اليونان كل موظف حكومي يخدم بحدود 49 شخص. فإذا هذا أقل رقم 49 إذا قارناه ب 12 في العراق يعادل 3 أضعاف، بمعنى أن هناك تضخم وظيفي كبير في العراق. هذا الشكل اللي إلى اليمين نشوف أنه في العراق 30% من قوة العمل مثل ما ذكرنا، 30% من قوة العمل هي تعمل لدى الحكومة. هذا الأمر ينسحب أيضا على الدول القريبة والمشابهة في ظروف للعراق، مثلا الأردن 40%، في العربية السعودية 38%، في فلسطين 32%، وهكذا بالنسبة للدول الأخرى. لكن إذا قارنا هذه النسب اللي موجودة في العراق وغيرها من الدول مع النسب الاعتيادية اللي موجودة في دول أخرى، راح نشوف مثلا في أندونيسيا نسبة العاملين في الدولة من إجمالي قوة العمل هو 8% فقط، وأكثر نسبة هي في الصين 29%. الصين تعتبر من البلدان التي تشغل يعني العاملين لدى القطاع الحكومي بشكل كبير، لأنها ما زالت يعني وإن كان هي تعمل بقوانين السوق لكنها ما زالت تسيطر عليها الأفكار الاشتراكية. وهكذا بالنسبة للدول الأخرى. فإذا قارنا هذه المجموعة من الدول اللي إلى يسار الشكل مع الأخرى مع مجموعة الدول الأخرى اللي تقع إلى يمين الشكل، نشوف الفارق الكبير بين الاثنين. Next. هذا الشكل يوضح لي تطور عدد الموظفين في العراق. في عام 2005 أو 2006 كان عدد الموظفين 650,000 موظف في الحكومة. في عام 2020 أصبح عدد الموظفين 4.5 مليون. طبعا هسه واحد ربما يسألني يقول لي أنت قلت قبل شوية 3 ملايين عدد الموظفين، 3 ملايين وربع، شو صارت هسه 4.5؟ حقيقة ال 3 ملايين وربع هم الموظفين الذين يستلمون رواتبهم من ميزانية الدولة، لكنه الفرق بين 4.5 و3 وربع هم الموظفين الذين يتسلمون رواتبهم من التمويل الذاتي أو من العقود التي لا تصرف من الدولة. لاحظ الفرق الكبير والنمو الهائل في أعداد الموظفين في القطاع العام في العراق. Next. هناك تقرير للبنك الدولي عنوانه Unlocking Employment Potential in the Middle East and North Africa. هذا التقرير أعطانا تصورات ل ما هي السياسات الملائمة للحد من مشكلة البطالة. أول حل أو أول إجراء أو سياسة ممكن أن يتخذها البلد هو التأكيد على قطاع خاص مستدام. ما المقصود بقطاع خاص مستدام؟ بالحقيقة أنه النشاط الاقتصادي هو في الأساس نشاط اقتصادي خاص وليس نشاط اقتصادي حكومي. الحكومة تتدخل في النشاط الاقتصادي لغرض التنظيم، لغرض التوازن، لكنها ليست لغرض الإنتاج وليست لغرض استدامة الإنتاج. استدامة الإنتاج أو هو في القطاع الخاص، بالتالي احنا علينا أن نبني قطاع خاص مستدام. هذا المستدام نقصد به أنه يديم نفسه بنفسه، بمعنى أنه هو يستطيع أن يوظف العاملين وينمو هذا القطاع ويستطيع أن يوفر التمويل للعاملين أو الموظفين الذين يعملون في هذا القطاع. القطاع الخاص لدينا في العراق هو محدود جدا وقليل الأهمية نسبة إلى القطاع الحكومي، وعلى الدولة يقع عبء كبير في تشجيع قطاع خاص مهم. النقطة الأخرى الثانية أنه على الدولة أن تدير الأموال النفط بشكل أفضل. أموال النفط هي ليست لتوزيع الرواتب. الدولة ما تفعله بأموال النفط والناس أيضا تطلب من الدولة، عندما تطلب من الدولة تقول أنه العراق هو بلد غني، ويقصدون بذلك أنه لديه إيرادات نفطية، وهذه الإيرادات النفطية تمكن الناس من أن يحصلون على دخول عالية، والدولة تفهم هذا أو ترجمه إلى رواتب وتوظيف لديها بشكل كبير. بالحقيقة ليست هذا هو الإجراء المناسب، ليس هذا هو الإدارة الصحيحة لإيرادات النفط. إيرادات النفط يجب أن تذهب نحو سبل وطرق استثمارية بحيث توفر قيمة مضافة إلى الاقتصاد. هذه القيمة المضافة هي التي توزع منها الدخول وليس من الأصل، من أصل الإيراد النفطي. فضلا عن ذلك ممكن أنه تخصص جزء من إيرادات النفط لإعادة توزيع الدخل بين أفراد المجتمع، للفئات الفقيرة بالنسبة للفئات محدودة الدخل. هذه ممكن أنه تحصل على مساعدات حكومية من إيرادات النفط، لكنه لا توزع إيرادات النفط بشكل رواتب. هذا هو أسوأ تصرف ممكن أن يقوم به حكومة في هذا المجال. النقطة الأخرى أو السياسة الأخرى اللي ممكن تتبعها الحكومة هو سياسات محاربة الفساد. الفساد آفة كبيرة موجودة في المجتمع، وهي تهدد وجود المجتمع برمته، وتهدد نمو قطاع خاص مهم في الدولة، لأنه دائما القطاع الخاص هو يعتبر من يعني الثروة والأموال هي من أو رأس المال بشكل عام، خلينا نقول هو من عناصر الإنتاج التي يعني جبانة تسمى في الأدبيات تهرب عندما تكون الوضع الأمني أو الوضع الكوربشن اللي هو الفساد عالي جدا في المجتمع. فأفضل السياسات هو محاربة الفساد حتى تكون هناك فرصة لتطور القطاع الخاص. أيضا مشاريع البنية التحتية مهمة جدا لسببين. السبب الأول أنها هي تكون أرضية مناسبة لنمو قطاع خاص في الدولة، هذا من جانب. من جانب آخر هي بنفسها وبحد ذاتها تعتبر مشاريع استثمارية ممكن أنه توفر فرص عمل للباحثين عن العمل. الشيء الأخير هو البيئة الاستثمارية المناسبة، وهي البيئة الاستثمارية الحقيقة متعلقة بعناصر كثيرة. الآن أي واحد يريد يعمل مشروع في العراق يصطدم بكثير من العقبات الإدارية والعقبات المالية اللي هي تأخر إقامة مشروع الخاص. فإذا تحسين البيئة الاستثمارية هو مهم جدا لغرض إقامة قطاع خاص يقوم بأعباء توظيف الناس. Next. بالنسبة للنساء، عمل النساء، هناك تقرير عنوانه فرص عمل مناسبة للعراق. البيئة الاجتماعية بالنسبة للنساء، البيئة الاجتماعية العامة يعني غير متحمسة كثيرا لعمل النساء. هي يعني لا ترفض في الوقت الحاضر عمل المرأة، لكنها غير متحمسة لذلك. تتحمس أكثر البيئة الاجتماعية في العراق إلى عمل الرجل أكثر من عمل المرأة. المسألة الأخرى الحقيقة أنه النساء عادة أو الإناث عادة هم يذهبون إلى القطاع العام للعمل، يريدون وظيفة ذات برستيج اجتماعي وهي مضمونة وذات دخل عالي وساعات دوام محدودة. فصار عندنا تأنيث لقوة العمل في القطاع العام أكثر من كونه يعني متوازن. المطلوب هو أن يعني تهتم النساء بالبحث عن فرص عمل ليس في القطاع العام وإنما في القطاع الخاص أيضا. لكن هذا ماذا يستلزم؟ يستلزم ظروف خاصة بالمرأة. احنا نعرف كلنا أنه بالقطاع العام هناك كثير من الحالات الإيجابية بالنسبة للمرأة، مثلا هناك إجازات خاصة بالوضع والإنجاب والأمومة وغيرها من الأشياء اللي هي تراعي الوضع الخاص للمرأة. لكن هذه الأوضاع الخاصة الموجودة في القطاع العام هي غير موجودة بالقطاع الخاص، بالتالي يستلزم تشريعات لغرض تهيئة الأجواء المناسبة لعمل المرأة في القطاع الخاص. Next. ما هي الفرص الأخرى؟ يعني احنا الآن تكلمنا لحد الآن عن سياسات حكومية. طيب إذا الحكومة ما عملت هذه الأشياء، هل نجلس نحن ولا نفعل شيء؟ هناك 3 أشياء ممكن أنه يعني نعير اهتمامنا في هذا الموضوع. المسألة الأولى هو اختيار التخصص الأكاديمي. مثل ما شفنا قبل شوية أنه القطاع الخاص لا يستطيع أن يستوعب المهارات العالية وإنما يستوعب المهارات المتوسطة، وهناك نوع معين من المهارات هي المطلوبة في القطاع الخاص. يعني احنا يتخرج عندنا من التربية الرياضية ويتخرج عندنا من الآداب ومن التاريخ ومن الفلسفة والاقسام الاخرى هذه مع جل اهتمامنا وتقديرنا لهذه الاختصاصات، لكنه هذه الاختصاصات هي غير مطلوبه في سوق العمل، غير مطلوبه بالكامل في القطاع الخاص، ومطلوبه بشكل جزئي في القطاع العام. فالمطلوب هو ان نختار الاختصاص الاكاديمي. الاختصاص الاكاديمي هذا عاده الطلاب عندما يروحون الى انسيابيه التعليم العالي، المطلوب منهم انه يذهبون الى الاختصاصات التي تتناسب مع اهتماماتهم. هذا الاهتمام يصقل، او اهتمامات الفرد تصقل بالتعليم. بالتالي التعليم وفقا للاهتمام سوف يصقل مهارات الشخص ويمكنه من فتح عمله الخاص. المسألة الثانية اللي هي أيضا مهمة هي الانتربرينورشيب، اللي هي ريادة الأعمال. يعني ليس بالضرورة أنه الخريج أو حاصل الشهادة هو ينتظر الحكومة لكي توظفه، ممكن أنه يكون لديه أفكار إبداعية. ولدينا في الموصل طبعا على المستوى العالمي هناك كثير من النماذج اللي ذات أفكار إبداعية، لكنه حتى في الموصل وفي العراق بشكل عام هناك كثير من الشباب كان لديهم أفكار إبداعية مكنتهم من أن يفتحون فرصهم أو يخلقون فرصهم في العمل وعدم انتظار فرصة العمل لدى القطاع العام. أخيراً المشاريع الخاصة، وهي المشاريع الصغيرة والصغيرة جداً الدقيقة، هذه اللي ممكن أنه يستطيع الخريجين أن يستثمرون مواهبهم في العمل فيها وكسب الدخل. هذه هي الأفكار، مجمل الأفكار التي لدي. نيكست. وأنا أشكركم شكرا جزيلا على الإصغاء. Thank you Dr. Haik. Thank you our guest.
Thank you, Dr. Mofid, for your enlightening talk. There are several questions in this chat, but they were posed before you came to the end. So from what I read, I think you have answered them partly, but I will ask you again. Sally asked, what is your recommendation for people who are studying in a field that has not employment opportunity in the local market? And a similar question is from a student of veterinary medicine saying there's a shortage of jobs in government, no employment opportunity, private sector very weak. What do veterinarians do in the future? What's their perspective?
Answer?
نعم عفوا دكتور اترجم لك اياه.
سمعت الاسئله بس ساعدني بالترجمه العربي اذا
ما يخالف.
بالنسبه عفوا.
نعم احد الاسئله انه حقيقه سؤالين متشابهين، يذكر انه يعني ما هي توصيتك اللي للشخص يدرس في مجال ما له فرصه تعيين في السوق المحليه، وايضا سؤال من طالب في كليه الطب البيطري مشابه لهذا الشيء، انه ما هي الفرص اللي امامه حتى انه يحصل على مهنه او تعيين او شيء من هالقبيل.
نعم شكرا جزيلا للسائلين. اكيد يعني سوق العمل هو لا يستطيع ان يمتص كل قوه العمل، يعني اذا تكلمنا عنه في اطار الحكومه، وسوق العمل للقطاع الخاص ايضا مقيد، لكنه يعني اكيد انه اكو فرص ابداعيه. يعني الطالب عندما يدرس 4 سنوات في اختصاص معين لابد ان يكون لديه قدرات تختلف عن الآخرين في اختصاصه، ممكن أن يوظف هذه القدرات الخاصة في العمل بمشاريع إبداعية في القطاع الخاص. يعني أنا أشوف يعني الطب البيطري أمامه فرصة عمل من خلال العيادات الخاصة اللي ينشئوها، خاصة أنه الموصل هي مدينة زراعية ومدينة تحوي على ثروة حيوانية كبيرة. ويعني احنا نشاهد، اذا دكتور انور معي يطابق معي، انه عندنا كليه الطب البيطري فيها مستشفى للطب البيطري يوميا يجيهم كثيرين.
مؤتمر دولي ما يقبل يحكي
حيوانات.
بالانجليزي، ما يطيق.
عفوا بس رجاء غلق الميكروفون نسمع دكتور مفيد، وإن شاء الله تكون هناك فرصة للأسئلة. تفضل. عفوا دكتور. فضل.
نعم. فإذا القدرة على فتح المنافذ الإبداعية للعمل، وطبعا نفس الشيء بالنسبة لكل الاختصاصات الأخرى. يعني احنا نعرف أنه كثيرين الآن يعملون من خلال صفحات الفيسبوك في أنشطة تسويقية، هذه أيضا فرص للعمل. مؤكد أنه فرص العمل بالقطاع الخاص هي ذات إيراد يقل عن الإيراد اللي يتحصل في الحكومة، والفرصة الوظيفة الحكومية هي أفضل بالنسبة للشباب، لكنه عندما ما تتوفر فإحنا ما نبقى بدون عمل، نعمل بأي أجر ممكن أن نحصل عليه. شكرا.
Thank you. There's a last question I would like to allow, which is from the chat, which is, how can we develop entrepreneurship in Iraq? How to implement entrepreneurship between universities and industrial field and marketing? And as the keeper of time, maybe a short answer would be nice.
دكتور، يعني كيف نمزج التعاون بين الجامعة والجامعات الدولية أو للحصول على فرص بالعمل؟
أي نعم. شوف، أنا أكو عندنا قسم الآثار في كلية الآثار في الجامعة. قسم الآثار أنا متأكد كثيرين من الخريجين لا يجدون فرص عمل في لا القطاع الخاص ولا القطاع العام، لكن أنا في زيارة لي إلى ألمانيا التقيت بأحد الشباب العراقيين اللي يعمل في المتحف. دكتور أنت كنت معي.
نعم دكتور
أنور. يعني هذه فرصة عمل أوجدها هو الشخص لنفسه، صحيح يعني في دولة أجنبية، لكنه هو قدر من خلال دراسته أنه يوجد له فرصة عمل. هذا الشيء ممكن أن يعمل نفسه في العراق.
As Dr. Mufid said, or he said, he's replying as in the last visit to Germany, he met one of the Iraqi youth who graduated from, who is working as archaeologist. He studied in Iraq, but he managed to find a job in National German Museum, and that is a very good sample for being or for searching for his future. He managed to. It's true that he left and went to Germany, but he managed to make what to make a benefit from what he studied back there in his college, and he is successful now.
Okay, so then we also have Dr. Ibrahim from Tuhuk University, who's burning to make a statement. Dr. Ibrahim, you have 2 minutes.
Yeah, Dr. Ibrahim asking for 2 minutes.
Okay, thanks a lot. Be generous with me. Okay, 1 minute, 2 minutes will be enough for me. Yeah, I am Dr. Ibrahim, but unfortunately my specialization is translation and English language, but I'm interested in administration, and thanks for Dr. Mufid, Professor Mufid, who invited me to attend. Thanks for Dr. Anwar too. Yeah, okay. Honestly speaking, Dr. Sarmad and Dr. Mufid covered all the points in mind. And for me, for example, I do say all the reasons behind what is going on in Iraq for time being is due to the past years. I mean, starting with the Kuwait, first Gulf War, second Gulf War, then embargo, sanction against Iraq by USA, then ISIS, then Corona, and a lot of things. But for me, the main reason behind what is going on in Iraq and unemployment is corruption. Corruption is the main reason, is a disease, is a cancer. So for the Iraqi politicians, if they want to overcome all the problems of our young people, our students, our graduates, to find jobs, is to solve this problem and to overcome it, the corruption, what we call it, al-fasad in Iraqi. Yeah, that's all, yeah. But sometimes I do say, I agree with Dr. Mufid, that some people, can they find jobs themselves? And concerning that one of archaeology, for example, in Germany. For me, I left Iraq in 1994 during sanctions. I went abroad. I was working in 14 universities in Iraq and in Yemen, Sudan, Libya, Jordan, Emirates, Oman. Then I turned back to Kurdistan 2007. I was working at universities. And when I have a certificate or a degree, I can work anywhere I like. And it's not only the fault of the government to find jobs for the people. They can find jobs themselves sometimes. And the most important thing is, again, what you call it, kind of justice, to get rid of all the and the economic crisis in Iraq is due to a lot of reasons behind it, and I think the government is, again, responsible for that. Thanks a lot for that. Thank you for listening. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Ibrahim, for sharing your perspectives and experiences. I think this would be a good opportunity, as Dr. Mufid pointed out, and also you mentioned, that one solution might be to become creative, take own initiatives, take the ownership over the face of your life and become entrepreneurial. I think this would be a nice opportunity also to introduce the third keynote speaker we are having. First, before I do that, I would like to thank you again, Dr. Mufid, for your excellent talk. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Dr. Haik, I have some comment.
Okay, you have a comment on the previous discussion.
Yes, because I think there's a very important question for Dr. Mufid from Darwish Murad, Shorosh Darwish Murad. Dr. Mufid said, the university prepares students to work in the government field. This is how can prepare this graduate student to work in the private field? What's the requirement from the universities to prepare this kind of student? دكتور مفيد.
شكرا جزيلا على السؤال. صحيح، هو الحقيقة هي يعني الجامعات ليست فقط تؤهل الطلبة للعمل في القطاع العام، لكنه الشهادة التي يحملها تؤهله للعمل في القطاع العام، لكنه الخبرات التي يمتلكها هي ما تؤهله للعمل في القطاع الخاص. أفضل طريقة للعمل هو اكتساب المعلومات. يعني احنا كلنا أساتذة في الجامعة أو طلاب في الجامعة نعلم أنه الطالب في الوقت الحاضر يبحث عن الشهادة أكثر مما يبحث عن التعلم. هذا خطأ كبير في الحقيقة، لأنه التعلم هو الذي يكسب الخبرات وهو الذي يصقل المهارات اللي ممكن أن يستخدمها الخريج في أعمال إبداعية وريادة أعمال بعد التخرج. لكنه مجرد الحصول على الشهادة وهو الهدف الأساسي، واللي هذه هي اللي أنا أقصد بها أنه تؤهله للعمل في لدى الحكومة. أنه عندما يذهب يقول لهم أن لدي بكالوريوس أو لدي ماجستير أو لدي دكتوراه، لكنه ما هو المحتوى وراء هذا هو المهم. بالحقيقة هذا جانب. الجانب الآخر الجانب العملي، يعني في جامعاتنا احنا كلنا نفتقر إلى تزويد الطالب بالمهارات العملية، نعطيه المهارات النظرية أو الدروس النظرية، وهذه المهارات العملية هي مهمة جدا. وأنا يعني أذهب مع مقترح دكتور سرمد في أنه تطلع الجامعة بدورات وراء بعد التخرج، يعني تنظم للطلبة بعد التخرج. قسم منا يعني كنا فعلناها فعلا بالتعاون مع جامعة دورتموند مع الدكتور هايك، كان يعني تنطي ورش عمل، وربما هاي ورشة العمل هي أيضا واحدة منها، حول تزويد الطلبة بمهارات ريادة الأعمال وليس فقط الشهادة. شكرا.
I deal with you, Dr. Mufid, because we have 4 students, 2 from this student work with this workshop, and will be talk about his experience in the work fields.
Okay.
Shukran, Dr. Mufid.
Shukran.
So thank you very much. I would like to use the opportunity to introduce our third keynote speaker. Now, as we have extensively analyzed situation in Iraq and problems and already got quite a long list of recommendations what could be done, we thought it would be nice to get inspired from what is done elsewhere in the world. And we are so delighted to have a very lovely lady and experienced and distinguished academic today here with us, which is Miss Shiluba Mawela, who's here joining us today from South Africa. Welcome, Shiluba. Thank you for being here.
Welcome. Thank you so much for the invite. Are you all able to hear me clearly?
Yes, we are. Let me first introduce Shiluba a little bit to everyone. Shiluba is a chartered accountant who leads Jamo Impacts Partners with establishing an agriculture value chain impact fund. And she's also currently consulting as a secretary co-lead for the National Task Force for Impact Investing via the University of Cape Town Bertha Center in South Africa. Shiluba has broad capital markets and impact investment experience and a lot of finance experience also practically, also working with small and micro enterprises, and is also serving on the board of First Rand Foundation. And we are so excited for her to have her today speaking on advising a lot of young entrepreneurs in South Africa, also who did not just start their own business to make money, but also to change society. Thank you, Shiluba, for being with us and sharing your experiences. And also Mr. Wright agreed, who's lecturer and one of the steering committee members from the engineering department to support with translations also to make sure everyone can follow. Shiluba, the floor is yours.
Okay,
Oh.
okay, I'll introduce
Go ahead.
Shiluba. Hello, Shiluba, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. And yourself? And thank you so much for supporting with the translation. Really appreciated.
السلام عليكم. السيرة الذاتية لسيدة شيلوبا ماويلا، محاسب قانوني تدير شركة تيشامو إمباكت بارتنر. تعمل حاليا مستشارة بصفتها الرئيس المشارك للإمانة العامة للفريق الوطني عبر UCPT في بيرثا. تتمتع شيلوبا بخبرة واسعة في الاستثمار في أسواق المال. خبرتها تشمل تمويل الشركات، عمليات الدمج والاستحواذ، تقييمات الصفقات التجارية، هيكلية الصفقات في بورصة جوهانسبرغ، أيضا تمويل الشركات الصغيرة، وهي أيضا عضو مؤسس في إدارة فيرست راند. Okay. Go ahead, Shiluba.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So greetings to everyone. I'm joining you guys all now from Johannesburg, which is in South Africa. And I'm very honored to be speaking to you today and hoping to share experiences that we've seen from a South African perspective, but also looking at the rest of the continent. My talk will touch on the youth unemployment rate in South Africa, which is one of the highest in the world. But I'll also talk to some of the solutions to create jobs and also solve for social issues. So the Bertha Center, maybe as introduction, is one of the first centers on the continent. It's a university-based center which focuses on social innovation and entrepreneurship. I consult to the university, and my role is under the innovative finance team. So if we can maybe get into the presentation. Next slide, please.
محاضرة شيلوبا راح تركز على البطالة والتركيز على ريادة الأعمال في جنوب أفريقيا كحالة دراسية. وراح تبدأ محاور المحاضرة بالإحصائيات البطالة في جنوب أفريقيا. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. So if we begin, South Africa has some really scary statistics, but I think there is some hope. So I'm hoping to share on the scary statistics, but also talk to some of the solutions that we've seen in the country. Firstly, 55% of South Africans live below the national poverty line, which is less than $2 a day. That means majority of the people in our country, unfortunately, live in poverty. In addition, 63.2% of young people are unemployed, and 33% of graduates are unemployed, meaning 1 in every 3 graduates is without a job, which is very scary statistic, given that the level of graduates in our country is relatively low.
55% من طبعا هي تعطينا احصائيات لنسبه البطاله في جنوب افريقيا. 55% من الشعب يعيش تحت خط الفقر. اجمالي البطاله هي 32.5%. 63.2 من هذه النسبه هي معدل البطاله لدى الشباب.
Next slide, please.
وبطاله الخريجين about the graduated, yes. 33.1% هي بطالة الخريجين ضمن الشباب.
ايوه.
Okay, very good. Next slide.
The impacts of unemployment is that young people have no faith in the political system. We have seen an increase in social breakdown, where we've seen a high level of drug usage, violence, and crime. South Africa has one of the highest crime rates in the world. We're also seeing very high levels of gender-based violence. And we also have increasing isolation, depression, but also suicide among young people, due to them feeling economically disempowered.
طبعا هاي الظروف المحيطة كلها أثرت على الوضع العام المجتمعي في جنوب أفريقيا. فكانت أحد نتائج هذه الظروف هي عدم الثقة بالحكومات وبالنظام السياسي. هذا أدى إلى انهيار المجتمع وتفشي المخدرات، العنف، وزيادة نسبة الجريمة، وبالتالي كل هذا أدى إلى زيادة العزلة وظهرت حالات الاكتئاب وزيادة نسبة الانتحار ما بين صفوف الشباب. Go ahead.
Next slide, please. Further impacts is that what we're seeing is 60% of the unemployed live in townships or slums, which are very far from cities, but also industrial complexes. This has been a deliberate result of apartheid legacy planning, where people were moved into very far places where they weren't then able to get to jobs easily. And a lot of people who do have jobs also spend majority of their salary on transportation and traveling to work. So I think, resultantly, South Africa has what we term the triple challenge, which is poverty, unemployment, and inequality. And we speak about inequality because South Africa is one of the most unequal societies in the world.
الظروف هذه أثرت على المجتمع بكامله، بحيث أصبح 60% من عاطلين عن العمل يعيشون في الضواحي، في الأرياف، في ضواحي البلدات. طبعا هذا كان كله بسبب تأثير التخطيط العنصري والفصل العنصري ما بين فئات المجتمع في جنوب أفريقيا. وهذا أدى إلى وجود تحديات 3 في المجتمع. تركزت هذه التحديات بالفقر، البطالة، والتفرقة، وعدم المساواة ما بين فئات المجتمع. Okay, go ahead.
Next slide, please. What's exciting and what we are definitely seeing is that young people are stepping up. They are driving change. They are the new economy. And we are seeing some really interesting ideas and innovations coming from young people who want to be part of the change in this country. And so today I will talk about social entrepreneurship and the rise specifically in South Africa and on the rest of the African continent. And as Dr. Mufid mentioned, I think entrepreneurship really is not waiting for opportunities, but definitely creating it. When we speak about social entrepreneurship, it's about being very deliberate and intentional to solve a social issue in a way in which you run your business, and to enable where you are able to make money and be sustainable, but also scale up your business. So what I'll be doing today is taking you through 3 practical examples that we've seen. 2 of the people mentioned in the presentation are friends who I'm familiar with, and we can maybe have a discussion towards the end about how some of these could inspire changes in your own experiences. So if we then go on to the next slide.
مثل ما حكى دكتور مفيد، يعني إحدى العوامل الأساسية في تغيير الحالة اللي يعيش المجتمع، الآن نتحدث عن جنوب أفريقيا، وهذا ممكن يكون ميرور للمجتمع اللي نحن عايشين بينه، هو النهوض بريادة الأعمال. وهذا أتى من الشباب، ليس الحل كان هون بدأ من الشباب ومن الأفكار اللي انطلق بها الشباب لتغيير حالة المجتمع من خلال الأفكار الخلاقة اللي عرضت من الشباب الخريجين الجدد، وهي كانت النواة الأولى في تغيير المجتمع اللي موجود في جنوب أفريقيا. وهذا اللي طبعا مثل ما تحدث دكتور مفيد في شلون الشباب يمكن أن تخلق الفرصة العمل اللي دون الحاجة إلى انتظار فرصة عمل من الحكومة. وهذا هو أيضا يعني هدفنا في هذه الورشة أو في هذا المؤتمر، وأيضا مثل ما راح نشوف أنه راح نشوف قصص نجاح في جنوب أفريقيا، إن شاء الله راح نستمع إلى قصص نجاح في مدينتنا. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. First slide. As I mentioned, I'm going to talk through 3 examples. The first one is a healthcare solution called Bellybox. So the context in South Africa is 84% of the population use private hospitals or clinics, meaning these are usually crowded, given limited staff, limited resources in these hospitals. Then Neo Hituru, who was an engineer, actually contracted TB, which requires you on a monthly basis to collect chronic medication for a period of 6 months. And he would spend up to 4 to 6 hours just waiting to collect medication. He then invented something called a smart locker system to enable patients to collect medication in under 30 seconds. What that means is it reduces the burden on the public healthcare system, and now nurses can load up these lockers within 20 minutes, and then people are able to come at all hours to collect medication without having to take a day or half a day from work. So this is an example of someone who was personally impacted because he unfortunately needed to be collecting medication and then solve for this solution. And he's got about 67 lockers throughout the country. He is working with the National Health Department, but is also working with a listed healthcare pharmacy group, which is also supporting to make sure that they easily dispense medication. And he's 34 years old. Thanks.
الفكرة الأولى من هي فكرة البيلي بوكس. المبتكر هو نوا هيرتي، 34 سنة العمر. الفكرة هي تتلخص بكيفية الحصول أو الوصول إلى الدواء المناسب للمرضى بوقت قصير. يظهر أنه كان هنالك مشكلة عند أو الشخص هذا حدد المشكلة للوصول إلى الدواء المناسب للمرضى، خاصة المرضى الكبيري السن أو الأمراض المزمنة. كانت تستغرق وقت طويل، حدود 4 إلى 6 ساعات للكولكت اختيار هذا الدواء والوصول له، وهذا كان يستغرق قد يكون نصف النهار. يبدو أنه الفكرة هو عبارة عن ابتكار طريقة للحصول على الأدوية بطريقة مبتكرة من خلال نظام تخزين ذكي، توفر الوقت بشكل كلش كبير لاختيار الدواء والحصول عليه في أقل من 30 ثانية. فإذا المبتكر الهون حل هذه النجح الابتكار في تقليل هذا الوقت، وعمم الابتكار على الصيدليات اللي موجودة في المدينة، وكان هو نواة. أكيد البيلي بوكس راح يكون نواة لأفكار أخرى من قبل الفندر اللي وصل إلى هذا الابتكار. فإذا هي كانت نقطة انطلاق في تحصيل فرصة قد يكون هذا يكون نواة لعمل شركة صغيرة وتطور هاي الشركة مستقبلا. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Next slide. Next up is a business called, sorry, I've mixed up my side, Ritaka Repurpose Bags. What it was is Tato, who is 29, and she started the business when she was about 23 years old. She was looking to turn the high levels of waste into work. And what they do is they repurpose waste and create school bags for young kids. What they then enable them to do is these bags have reflector lights so that when kids are walking back from school late at night, cars are not able to run over them because they can see them, but they're also helping. So this black kind of thing or disc on the bag is kind of solar powered. So it generates, this kind of reflective light, which then helps. Ritaka currently employs 20 people and is planning to expand from just school bags into raincoats for young kids, which are then 100% created from recycled material.
الفكرة الثانية هي من ريثيكا. ريثيكا العمر هو 29 سنة. يبدو أنه كان هنالك مشكلة لطلاب المدارس اللي يتنقلون على الطرق، قد تكون هي طرق الهاي واي. كان يوميا يفقد من هذول الطلاب حدود 3 طلاب بسبب عدم تمييزهم. يبدو أنه التنقل هو ليلا، عدم تمييزهم في الأوقات المظلمة، فيصطدمون يتعرضون إلى حوادث دهس للسيارات. فكانت هوني المبتكرة هي إضافة، خلينا نقول صنع حقائب مدرسية. طبعا كانت الفكرة باتجاهين. أولا هو استخدام الورس ماتيريال أو النفايات أو المواد المهملة في إنتاج هذه الحقائب المدرسية، مع إضافة علامة لعكس الأنوار أو الأضوية لتمييز الطلاب اللي يتنقلون على الطرق السريعة. بسبب إذن هي مشكلة مجتمعية من مشكلة الدهس، بدأت أنه تنطلق أفكار لإنتاج هذه المواد من مواد مهملة. إذن صعدنا أكو فائدتين للمجتمع: فائدة حفظ الأرواح بالإضافة إلى إعادة تدوير هذه المواد. هاي الفكرة نجحت، يبدو أن لاقت نجاح كلش كبير مثل ما موجود أمامنا بالسلايد، وحققت تشغيل 20 شخص في المشغل اللي كونته المبتكرة. وبالإضافة إلى هذا بدأ أن هنالك خط آخر لإنتاج سترات للأطفال من المواد اللي سوف يعاد تدويرها بشكل كامل. يعني أنت تستخدم أي مادة خام في عملية إنتاج هذه السترات الخاصة بالأطفال، وأيضا لتحقيق نفس الهدفين السابقين. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next slide. The last company I'm hoping to touch on is called Lugama. Lugami is a Xhosa word meaning be careful, and the innovation to the problem the team, David and the team are trying to solve is that what you find is, as you'll see in some of the earlier slides that I talked to, is we've got a number of shacks and slums where these are very close together and people use fire oftentimes to cook. The result of that is sometimes there are fires which then burn through the shacks and then burn through surrounding shacks. So what David and the team at Lugani did was then create a device which then detects fire alarm and is able to alert the fire department, which can then come quite timely and promptly, but also let people in the area know that there is a fire and warn them to come help and assist. This is the last innovation I'm hoping to talk to. And I think, all three demonstrate that: one, young people are creating change; two, young people are solving social issues. And I think thirdly, and most importantly, is entrepreneurship is a way to create employment, not just for self, but for others as well.
القصة الثالثة هي جهاز يبدو أيضا كان هنالك مشكلة بالحرائق في المخيمات اللاجئين، يعني وأيضا هاي المشكلة نحن نعاني منها، يعني بسبب كثرة مخيمات اللاجئين اللي موجودة عندنا، ودائما نسمع الحرائق اللي تحصل في مخيمات اللاجئين والازهاق الارواح اللي تزهق في هذا الاتجاه. فيبدو انه جهاز لوغامي هذا يعتمد ايضا المطور له او المبتكر، طبعا هذا اكيد هي الفكره موجوده، لكن يعني جهاز استشعار عن الحرائق والتحذير منها، لكن يبدو انه هذا الجهاز يعتمد على التكنولوجيا رخيصه اكيد، ولهذا اصبح ابتكار. فالتكنولوجيا هذه الرخيصه تم الاستفاده منها في انتاج جهاز لانذار قليل التكلفه، ممكن ينبه اللاجئين او الساكنين في مخيمات الفقيره، وهذا طبعا اكيد راح يكون له فائده كلش كبيره بالحد من الخسائر في الارواح في الممتلكات الناتجه عن الحرائق المحتمله، وهذا ممكن الاستفاده منه سواء في جنوب افريقيا او في اي بلد من بلدان العالم. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. The last slide really was to ask, you know, how do you think you can use your own creativity, your own youth energy to solve some of those challenges or social issues that you are seeing around? I'll maybe just close off by sharing on a last example. I used to run a nonprofit organization called Transitions, where what we did was give high school students about $7. We called it mustard seed funding. And the winning team in the year we first ran it made about $250 from a $7. And so I think definitely you don't need a lot of money oftentimes to be able to start the change or think creatively around how to solve some of the issues in your country. So I saw there might be some questions. I'm happy to answer any, but definitely my plea and my message is use your creativity, you know, use some of the challenges you're seeing around you and be part of the solution. Thank you.
اوكي، السلايد الاخير يعني ينطينا صراحه يعني سؤال كلش كبير ممكن الاستفاده منه. طبعا يعني التلخيص للسلايدات اللي شفناها، التكنولوجيا او الافكار اللي طرحت حقيقه هي ليست افكار جديده، لكن مثل ما قالت شيبولا انه الافكار هذه شلون ممكن تكون جديده؟ من خلال انه تقليل كلفتها. يعني على سبيل المثال هذا الباج او الجاكيت او سترات الاطفال او حتى البوكس اللي ممكن استخدامه كسمارت بوكس للوصول الى اي غرض، او حتى جهاز الانذار، هو متوفر في السوق، لكن رياده الفكره هون تقليل كلفه هذا الجزء، استخدام المواد النفايات في او المواد معاده تدويرها في انتاج هكذا تولز، هي اللي كانت الرياده هون في عمليه الحصول على او خلق فرصه العمل لهذول الاشخاص. فاذا هون نحن نتساءل شلون انا ممكن من خلال انا البيئه اللي عايش بها، من خلال خبرتي اللي اكتسبتها، ويعني النقطه اللي ذكرها دكتور مفيد في اجابته على السؤال هي كلش مهمه، انه فعلا الجامعه انه انا الطالب يجب ان يتعلم ليس للحصول على الشهاده ولكن للحصول على العلم الذي هو العلم اللي راح يمكنه للحصول على الوظيفه سواء في القطاع العام او القطاع الخاص. فاذا البيئه، الموقف، الاكسبيرينس اللي حصله الطالب هو راح يكون السلاح الوحيد بيده للحصول على فرصه العمل اللواء. and thank you. وهي طبعا مستعده شيبولا للاجابه على اي تساؤل من قبل الطلبه. Thank you, Shiva.
Thank you very much, Shiluba. Thank you also, Mr. Wright. There are some questions in the chat. The one is, how are these inventions of the, how are they accepted by the public? And then there are two questions related to how were these young funders supported? Was there support from the government or maybe international agencies like maybe even United Nations, EU? And how did they start? How did they start? Where did they get a budget to start their business?
Thank you so much. Those are two really good questions. I think to start with the first one, what definitely is important is if you are going to create a solution for people, you need to do it with them. So with all the examples is I definitely think community engagement was key. Also making sure you find ways to engage, but also work with people in the community who might be better informed. You know, I think in many of the cases, and especially with Tato and Neo, is they were part of those communities. So they thoroughly understood what was needed, what was missing, and some of the ways in which they can solve for that. So I definitely think you need to involve the community, and then you'll have better buy-in for your solution or product.
السؤال كان انه يعني القصه اللي سمعناها هل هي كانت مدعومه من يعني هل كان حديد اعمال؟ اكيد الحكومه خلينا نقول يعني ما كانت تدعم، هل هي مدعومه من اشخاص او من الامم المتحده على سبيل المثال؟ فكانت هي الاجابه انه دعم المجتمع هو الحافز الاساسي في نجاح هكذا قصص، وحاجه المجتمع لها. يعني الحصول على تولز بنفس الكفاءة بسعر أقل من أكيد راح يكون المجتمع يتجه إلى هذا التولز و يعني يستخدموا وبالتالي يدعموا من خلال شراء هاي المواد أو هاي التولز اللي أنتجت من قبل هذا الرواد، بالإضافة إلى قد يكون هو العمل التيم الجروب هو يكون الحافز الأساسي في عملية النجاح.
And then to answer the second question, which how did these young people get started or how were they supported? It was a combination. I think each business is different and the people who are willing to support or fund it also varies. So with Billy Box specifically, there was some government funding, but that wasn't easy to come by. Nero is also what we call a birther scholar. So he studied through the UCT Birther Center, so was able to be profiled there and to get publicity and therefore generate interest for his product. We also had fundings. We've got local development finance institutions. Sometimes things take time, but there are a number of avenues that people can explore, including going to high net worth individuals or finding really creative ways of people who could fund it. For example, with Nero, he works a lot with NGOs whose main mission is to get medication to people. So he'll collaborate a lot with them. He's got funding from a number of international funders as well. He is looking to scale up his operations, so is looking for further funding. But I definitely think, you know, also there needs to be a lot of creativity around how you fund, but definitely developing the idea so that when you present it to someone, it's at a stage where they've got comfort, they understand clearly what you're trying to solve and what it's going to take to solve that. And I think, you know, being very clear and articulate is also important around what is the idea, what is it solving for? But also I think importantly thinking, how do you make money in a way that doesn't deprive people who don't have the money? Yeah.
اعتقد هو نفس يعني السؤال كان بنفس المحور انه كيفيه الدعم لهذا الجزء، فمثل ما قلت يعني كانت هو دعم المجتمع وكيفيه الحصول على تولز بكلفه اقل مما هو متوفر. ليس بالضروره ان يكون هذا التولز هو غير يعني تولز جديد كليا، لكن عمليه تخفيض سعر هذا التولز و هو راح يكون الحافز الاساسي في دعم المجتمع اللي هو من خلال اقتناء هذا مقابل التولز الاكثر المور اكسبنسيف اكثر غلاء في السوق. نعم. اوكي.
And I think it's my turn, Shiluba. Thank you very much for sharing these insights and also these creative ideas. From my experiences in Iraq. I think I've been there quite a number of times. I felt the problems you presented and the solutions that were solved by these innovative businesses is something young people can relate. Even in Germany and Europe, we also have a lot of waste to deal with in certain types of settlements. Fire is a problem, and I think these were very inspiring examples in how young people created businesses that also solved problems in society we may have elsewhere. I myself I'm inspired to see what are opportunities in that regard. Thank you very much for being here with us and sharing these experiences.
Thank you so much for having me. Really honored to share and hear also what else is happening around the world. Thank you so much and all the best. And if you do have questions, yeah, I am available, or feel free to share via email. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay.
Then I think it's my turn to invite the first the fourth team of keynote speakers. Today we've been so excited to also have you as part of this conference, which is a student conference. Ms. Iman, Ms. Basma, Mr. Abdullah and Mr. Abdullah, all have been graduates from Mosul University, and who have also been part of our conferences in the past and who are now making their way and being future leaders in society, making changes to society and where they are. And we are delighted to have you here and share your experiences with us. I'd like to invite you also to come in with your cameras and also your microphones, and then I will give it to Mr. Wright also to introduce all of you properly.
Yeah. أنا راح يعني راح I'll talk in Arabic, Dr. Haik. Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah. الآن السكشن الأخير راح نسمع قصص نجاح لخريجين من مدينتنا، من جامعتنا، وكذلك طلبة، قصص طلبة ناجحين في تحقيق ولو فرصة عمل مبتدئة لهم. هم كلهم من خريجة من، طبعا هي هذول الجروب هو من قسم هندسة العمارة في جامعة الموصل. إيمان باسل مهندسة معمارية خريجة العام 2019 2019، وعبد الله ايضا خريج. عندنا عبد الله ايضا عندنا طالبه بسمه المرحله الرابعه، وعبد الله جمال ايضا من المرحله الرابعه في قسم هندسه العماره. راح نسمع لكل من هذول الطلاب. بس رجال الميكروفون ممكن إذا تسدونه. نسمع إلى قصصهم في الحقل العملي. راح نبدأ بإيمان وثم عبد الله جمال، وبعد ذلك ننتقل إلى قصص الطلبة اللي هي في المرحلة قبل مرحلة التخرج. إيمان ممكن تقدمين نفسك، وطبعا اللي يتحدث راح يفتح الكاميرا يا شباب ويتحدث عن قصته. أنا أتمنى أنه تتكلمون بالإنجليزي وثم تعيدون الكلام مالتكم باللغة العربية. اللي يعني ما راح يتحدث راح يتحدث باللغة العربية ونحاول نحن نترجم باللغة الإنجليزية. تفضل إيمان.
Hello, can you hear me? Hopefully. Okay.
نعم واضح صوتك إيمان.
Okay. My name is Iman. I graduated from Mosul University 2 years ago. I'm an architect. I want to briefly mention the positions I acquired in those 2 years. I am a leading architect in designing Tel Afar University. I am a former architect in the UNESCO organization. Also, I have many constructed houses inside Mosul and Iraq in general, which I did as a freelancer. Finally, currently, my current job is I'm an architect in Ibn Hathir Hospital for rebuilding the hospital after the war. Probably you might wonder how I was able to have all these jobs in only 2 years period and under these situations. So please let me walk you through the journey. It all started from the senior year of high school. From a very young age, we were told that there are few careers that we should appreciate the most, especially the medical sector. We were encouraged to be either doctors, pharmacists, or dentists, because for one solid reason, this will eventually lead us to find a job in the public sector. Those are incredibly beautiful fields, but they are not meant to everybody. However, I wanted to be a pharmacist because that reason, which is finding a job by default after graduation. But my GPA, my high school GPA, had a different opinion. I was 2 points far from pharmacy school. So I had to go with a plan B, which was attending architecture school. Unexpectedly, as soon as I started architecture and realized what it was like, the theoretical part, studying theories and history of architecture, or the practical part, designing things with my hand, physical models, and designing buildings on multiple scales, I liked it so much. I cherished it. I enjoyed every step of it, and I was one of the best students. But there used to be a voice back in my head, subconsciously, keep telling me, okay, how you will find a job after graduation, because there are no jobs opportunities in public sector for architects. I tried to ignore that voice. Then came the senior year of architecture, the 5th year. The essential part of that year is the graduation project. The supervisor committee used to give the students a general title for the projects, and the students have to choose a specific project they want to work on. I was assigned educational buildings, but I was doubtful about what should I choose until the head of my department acknowledged me that there was a realistic project proposed by Tel Afar University to design Tel Afar University campus. I was fond of the idea of designing something was realistic and can be constructed in real life, and actually something can be benefit for the society. So I took the project and started right away to work on it. It took me 2 very hard, long semesters of very hard work, from doing a deep analysis of the urban structure of Tel Afar city to studying the culture, the society, the history, the climate, the vegetation of the city, also studying universities from all around the world to make a comparison and find the best criteria. Also on the design levels, I had to make a design from 3 layers, site planning and urban design and architectural design. Eventually, on academic level, that hard work paid off. I graduated the second on my class, which eligible me for a job in the public sector. Anyway, I did not take that for granted because I know the situations. So right after I graduated, I started sending my CV to corporates, companies, and offices, but always faced with rejections. Until one day, my supervisor called me, my graduation project supervisor called me and told me, Iman, you're going to present your graduation project, which was Tel Afar University, in front of Tel Afar University president and other engineers from that university. If they like it, probably the project will be constructed and we will be supervising the design. So that's what really happened. After a few months of that presentation, the consultant engineering office of Musa University took the supervision of Tel Aviv University campus design, and I was one of the team, of architectural team, who were designing the project. So simply, my academic achievement, my hard work on academic level actually led me to find a job in real life. It led me to set a foot in the path of my career. My first advice for fellow graduates or students who are about to graduate to take your education really seriously, because I know all the voices of people telling you why you're working so hard, finally you will not get a job. I, for example, worked hard and found a job through my academic. Now also one job, by the way. My department recommended me for another job, which was at the UNESCO organization. They asked for students with good levels, and the department immediately gave my name, and I took the job. Also, I had an opportunity to collaborate with a French professor from University of Louvain to work and participate in an international architectural competition, which added a lot to my experience. All of these through my academic achievements. My second advice for students and for fellow graduate is do not be afraid of rejections, especially females. I know this, many females don't apply for jobs because they are too afraid of refusals. My current job, the current job I had before that many refusals. I even cannot count them. But the ironic thing, when you hang in there and keep trying to find a job and keep adding skills to your CV, the job you'll find will be better from all the jobs you were rejected. So just hang in there. And my third and last piece of advice, being jobless for quite a few months in your 20s, in Iraq, or even all over the world is something extremely normal and very common. So don't feel like you're alone or don't get discouraged. Remember that you're young and you have free time. This is an amazing equation to come with amazing improvements. This is what I did when I was in that position. I know how it feels. You feel like you're stuck in a tunnel with no lighting and you don't know how to get out of that tunnel. So when I was stuck in the tunnel, I studied for the TOEFL exam and succeeded with a high score. I started learning a third language. I learned new softwares. I made a noticeable improvement in 3D design softwares. I volunteered. I became a formal volunteer doing social work. I traveled, read books, practiced my hobbies. I did so many things. I wish I did more, but whatever I did is now reflecting on my practical life and on my life in general. So you have free time, use it and use it wisely, and you'll thank yourself sooner or later. For now, I thank you for listening and for giving me the opportunity to talk about my own experience. Thank you.
اوكي شكرا ايمان. طبعا انا راح الخص كلام ايمان لان يعني هي حكت من دخول الكليه، لكن الشيء المهم اللي قالته ايمان وهو يتفق مع ما طرح من خلال رياده العمل، هو انه هي دخلت الكليه وخاصه اختارت مشروع التخرج كان هو فرصه العمل لها، انه ليس للحصول على الشهاده ولكن بقدر ما هي للتعلم. فكانت تسمع كثير من الاصوات انه انت ليش كلش تتعبين نفسك، انت بالاخير راح تتخرجين وما تحصلين على فرصه عمل، لكن الجهد الكبير اللي بذلته في مشروع التخرج مالته واللي هو كان تحقق بعد تخرجها الى ان يصبح مشروع حقيقي على ارض الواقع. وهذا هو المبدا اللي ايضا طرح من خلال محاضره الدكتور مفيد، انه الطالب ليس يدخل الجامعه ليس فقط يعني يجب ان نغير هاي النظره، ليس للحصول على الشهاده وانما للحصول على التسلح بالعلم اللي هو يكون هو سلاحه في الحصول على فرصه العمل. شكرا ايمان. اتمنى من بقيه الطلاب يعني تعرفون احنا ملتزمين بوقت، يعني الكلام بمختصر ببريف، و يعني يطرحون الى النقطه الاساسيه اللي تتحدثون عنها بشكل اساسي. ممكن عبد الله تتحدث؟ عبد الله عبد الله جمال. نعم.
Hi everyone. Hi. Many thanks for Madam Haik and Mr. Wright for having us today. And many thanks for our professors for their valuable information and their great ideas. Also thanks for Shaluba for giving us insight about the South African situation and giving us the ideas that the youngsters are presenting and how they are providing work opportunities for them and for others. My name is Abdullah Jamal. I'm working currently as an architect for UNESCO in the Reviving the Spirit of Mosul initiative, funded by the European Union. This initiative started in 2018. It's concentrating on reviving the spirit of Mosul through reconstruction of the heritage houses. And it's working on two paths. The first one is reconstruction and preservation and restoration of the heritage houses and restoring them to their original features and preserving the heritage value of the city. The other path is providing a lot of work opportunities for the people living in the same territory and helping them to restore their own city. The most important goal is to leave a good impression so that the others can follow on the same footprint and preserve heritage value, whether it's a feature, material, techniques, or even the people themselves. I've been very lucky to work. Before working for UNESCO, I was working as an apprentice for one of my professors in college. Then I got the chance to work for UNESCO and under the same flag as the workshop I participated, which is reconstruction and reconciliation and building for sustainable environment. So I benefited a lot from the workshop in my current job. I feel very lucky to be able to get this kind of work, which is essential to my specialty. I know most of us will start criticizing the state and politics and how things are, but we should start taking some responsibilities and part of the blame, sometimes most of it. The truth is, we're lucky to have got free education in the first place. Not everyone gets this chance. And in my opinion, the graduation certificate that we obtained from the university is not necessarily a work certificate or an employment certificate. Maybe it is if we were trying to work in the university or in the general sectors, as Dr. Mufid said. I very much agree with him in the matter of the qualification for working on the university and on the private sectors. The private sector is fully dependent on the experience you have, not on the qualification or in the evaluation that you got from the university. So the certificate that we got is not an employment or a free ticket to the market. The main thing we got from college is a wider perspective of life and an expanded way of thinking. Being able to find opportunities where others can't, and being able to create that opportunity and provide work for others beside us. You know, the best architect out there in the market is not necessarily the best graduate, but experience and hard work makes the best architect. In truth, most of the new graduate doesn't have the capacity to make the decision and handle the responsibilities resulted from those decisions. That's why I actually prefer working in the open market and in the private sector more than working for the state or as an employee, because it gives me more options, and the experience I benefit from the work becomes much more beneficial to me. And that's all. Thank you very much.
شكرا عبد الله. يعني محور كلام عبد الله ايضا يتلخص بانه هو ايضا يعني لم ينتظر فرصه عمل في القطاع العام من خلال طبعا قال كلمه انه ايضا هو ليس المعماري الافضل، هو الافضل من الطلبه اللي يحصلون الدرجات الاعلى في الجزء الاكاديمي، لكن هو كون خبرته من خلال ضرب واحد من الامثله من ورشات العمل اللي اقيمت بالتعاون مع جامعه دورتموند، من خلال العمل مع التيم، شلون ايضا خلال التعامل مع تخصصات مختلفه. هذه كانت تجربه كانت كلش مؤثره في الحصول على الخبره اللي اهلته هاي الخبره، ومن الحصول على فرصه عمل مع الجهه الذي يعمل بها معها الان، واللي هي اليونسكو، في عمليه توثيق لبعض مناطق الموصل القديمه في طبعا يعني هو منذ العام 2019 هو يعمل ضمن هذا التيم. اوكي، شكرا عبد الله. بسمة، ممكن بسمة باختصار ممكن تحكي لنا تجربتك؟
Hello everyone, thank you for this important session. My name is Basma Qais, architecture student and 3D designer, working in Cloud Media Lab, Innovation Hub, which is Innovation Hub in BR Lab. I'm in fourth stage. 4 years ago, I was a student in 6th preparatory school, and I had just survived the war against ISIS militants, and all my passion was to join the College of Architecture Engineering. After I had joined the university and started actual study, I realized that it was only the beginning and not the end of the road. When I started studying and my life became routine, I don't know where the steps will take me. Am I waiting for my graduation so that I can have job opportunity? Unluckily, these are the dreams of all students, and this is disappointing. But then I realized since technology has now entered all scientific department, and it was also strongly present in my department, I made up by my mind to fully learn 3D design programs. That was the day in which I walked into the world of competition again and changed the daily routine in period of my life. And in the meanwhile, I mastered all the computer programs that could be used in 3D design. Indeed, I began to publish my designs on social media, and this was a very important step in my life, as it could provide me with many opportunities in the job market and also as a way of self-presentation. At the beginning, my goal was only to learn and develop myself. And in the meantime, I received a letter from a friend which he says, "Hey Bisma, how are you doing? I just want to tell you that there is a new idea, the first of its kind in the city of Mosul for 3D design programs. Would you like to join us?" At once I said yes. I got very excited about the idea, the basic information I had. When I went to the interview, I found a lot of architects, and at the moment I got scared, but the boldness was greater than that. After that, I accepted the challenge with the rest of the team and decided to learn more and more about 3D design. After the final exam for the third stage, I had a great opportunity, which is work with UNESCO of a Nuri Mosque and the architectural competition, which was the world level to redesign the Nuri Mosque. We are responsible for the model of the mosque in all areas that based on the mosque. In meantime, we were a team of freelancers, but because of our talent and insistence to provide the best what we have, the company in occupation that the project decided that it would adopt the idea in addition to providing the job opportunity for us as a full-time employees. The biggest challenge for me was how to study and work at the same time, as the topic is not easy as you can imagine. However, it was not impossible. After we had calculated the number of wasted hours during the day, we realized that we spent a lot of time in using the phone and posting on social media. The point was, if we know how to deal with time we have, we can achieve anything we want. Now, when I feel tired and exhausted, I remember my goal. I don't wish to leave the world without leaving my own fingerprint. I always tell myself that I hope to leave behind a life that differs from a life that I have lived. I want to leave my own legacy. Simply, this is Allah's message, which is work and reconstruction of the earth. And thank you.
اوكي شكرا بسمة. طبعا بسمة يعني مهمة يعني طرحته، وهي الآن طالبة في المرحلة قبل الأخيرة. أتمنى بسمة الآن طلبة معنا، أتمنى تتحدثين باختصار عن هاي التجربة باللغة العربية حتى تصلنا مباشرة. يعني أنا إذا ممكن أترجمها، لكن راح أروح أنطي المختصر، بس أنت قلتِ كلمات مهمة يعني ودخلت بأكثر من مجال، فممكن تنطيهم بشكل سريع، وخاصة النقطة الأخيرة هي الرسالة من الله إنه أوكي ممكن تتحدثين بالعربي باختصار على تجربتك بسمة.
أستاذ، بالنسبة للعمل والشغل بنفس الوقت الموضوع جدا صعب، يعني هو هذا تحدي كلش كبير ما مثل ما نحن نتخيله، بس الموضوع إذا فكرنا به هو موضوع ما مستحيل. إذا حسبنا عدد الساعات اللي نحن نضيعها خلال اليوم بالسوشيال ميديا بالتليفون، أو يعني نضيع وقت بلا شيء، وراح نوصل نفسنا إنه ممكن ندرس ونشتغل بنفس الوقت حتى ممكن نمارس هواياتنا، ويمكن يدينا هم وقت إضافي لهذا الشيء. فماكو شيء مستحيل. يعني مرات أنا أفكر إنه يعني أفكر بالتعب والإرهاق اللي أنا أعيش بينهم، دراسة والشغل بنفس الوقت. أتذكر الهدف اللي دائما يعني يحفزني إنه أشتغل على نفسي. أتمنى إنه أنا أترك بصمتي الخاصة بالحياة، أتمنى أترك أثر اللي بعد ما أموت. يعني هي هاي الرسالة، رب العالمين خلقنا حتى نترك بصمة بالحياة، وإنه نترك الأرض ما مثل ما إنه جينا عليها قبل ما نجي عليها. فيعني هي هاي الرسالة هي الدافع والحافز لأي طالب، بس مجرد إنه يعني يبدي ويخلي نفسه بهذا الموضوع. ماكو شيء صعب، بس مجرد إنه الإنسان يحاول.
ليش اتصل بيك بسمة الخبير حتى يتعاون معك؟ اكو سبب مو كان؟
السبب انه الشغل اللي انا نشرتونه، وانا كنت اشتغل وانشر شغلي.
نعم. اريد تتحدثين عليه.
كنت انشر شغلي. عشان
اريد تتحدثين عليه النقطة على الشغل كل من تنشرينه. نعم.
يعني أنا أي شغل أقوم يعني إنه أشتغله أو أتعلمه أنشر عليه. ممكن يعني يمكن ما شغل كلش قوي أو مستوانا متوسط، بس أكو ناس ممكن تنجذب لهذا الشغل وممكن تجيك فرصة عمل بأثناء ما أنت تقوم بنشر الشغل مالتك. فأنا بديت أنشر شغلي، أنا ما كنت عاد أتعلم، بديت أنشر شغلي وجتني الفرصة إنه قال لي تعالي بس ما تعالي إنه أكو فرصة هوني، يعني فرصة جديدة من نوعها. وقلت له أنا مبتدئة بعدني، يعني لازلت إنه أنا إنسانة مبتدئة بعد ما عندي خبرة الكافية. حتى أنا من شفت مجموعة من المعماريين والمعماريات انصدمت وقلت ممكن إنه أنا ما أقدر أكمل بهذا المكان. بس الصبر والحماس والفكرة الأهم ما إنه بس عمل، إنه يعني
مع قطع يمي أو ينبسم الكلام.
ينبسم وقف.
نعم طبعا. هي السؤال نوع الشغل، هي كانت تشتغل 3D موديلينج للمدينة القديمة، يعني الفيرتشوال رياليتيز اللي هي يعني إعادة توثيق المدينة القديمة عن طريق الحاسبة، وكانت تنشر العمل مالتها. والآن هو التركيز على المدينة القديمة، من خلال هذا كانت تنشر العمل مالتها، وبالتالي الاطلاع علينا من خلال الفضاء الإلكتروني، وحصلت على فرصة العمل. شكرا بسمة على مشاركتك معنا. أظن أن يعني الجزء الأخير من المتحدثين هو عبد الله. تفضل عبد الله، وبشكل مختصر عزيزي. طبعا أيضا كان اكو تساؤل من دكتور فوزي. دكتور فوزي يعني أيضا أشار أنه يعني ما حد من المتحدثين تكلم عن تقديم الجامعة. طبعا يعني كل الباك جراوند، كل الداتا اللي تعلموها الطلاب هي من المراحل الدراسية اللي مروا بها لوصولا إلى المرحلة الأخيرة. نعم عبد الله تفضل.
Hello, I am Abdullah Bashar, student in the College of Engineering Architecture Department, 4th stage. I am here today to tell you my story. First, I would like to talk about my work field. I work in CAF Media Lab with the VR team. I am working on converting the heritage places in the city to a 3D model, then create a VR tour in it. And it's one of the architectural fields on the urban preservation. We have documented a lot of Mosul's heritage. This story started by the end of the second stage. I had a passion in learning 3D design, so after I completed the second stage, I spent a lot of time during the day on learning 3D programs, like 3D Studio Max. Actually, I love animation films, so my first step was on making 3D characters, and after that, I saw myself ready to build a 3D copy of any idea I want. In one of the summer days, and it was in the end of the holiday, I think in September, I was browsing Instagram when I saw a story for someone called Muyassar Nasir, and it contained the next sentence. I want someone who knows 3D modeling. I said to myself, I have to take this chance, and I contacted him. Here, my story with CAF Media Lab started, and I got fruitful results of my efforts all the holiday. At the first, the work was like a freelancer. Me, Basma, and a group with us were training and learning how to make a VR tour as a prototype project. In the end, 3 of us just continued with this project. We were studying and working, and until this step, all the job was not guaranteed. But I just wanted to learn and improve my skills and get some relations in the field of work that could be useful for me in the future. The third stage in the college is finished. After the exam passed, we had an appointment with a UNESCO special project to make an advertising for a Nuri complex contest. They had a 3D model for the mosque, but they failed in materialing and the original texture and creating the rest of the destroyed mosque. It was difficult and it took a lot of time and effort. We also had some project for another institute to make old houses and heritage buildings inside Mosul, but we did it. Now we are contacting with Heidelberg University for a new project in an Yunus mosque. In fact, this was my first work experience, and it is very valuable, and I benefited from a lot of information and friendships. They can't be compensated in addition to experience. I advise all students to try to work in their field and study at the same time. Yes, it's difficult, but it's important for the student to gain experience before the end of the study stage of his life and the start of the real stage. And also, don't search for the fields in which all people have been working for years. Try to find new areas for your studies. Working and studying at the same time is really hard and it needs patience and great persistence. You only need to take the first step and the road will lead you. This was my story that I want to tell you, to share with you. Thank you for your listening and inviting me to this conference.
شكرا عبد الله. ايضا تتلخص يعني قصه عبد الله انه هو دخل قسم هندسه العماره برغبه، والمعلومات اللي اخذها في قسم هندسه العماره وجهته باتجاه اللي هو الراغب بينه، وطور نفسه بنفس البرامجيات اللي هو يتعامل معها القسم. ايضا اتته الفرصه من خلال مواقع التواصل الاجتماعي. يعني شوفوا اهميه التواصل الاجتماعي، الجانب الايجابي لها مثل ما ذكرت. بس
I think Dr. Raid lost connection. I'm not hearing you anymore.
It seems we lost Dr. Wright. His connection is maybe too bad.
Yeah. Well, then I think it is to us to thank again our grateful last keynote speaker. Thank you so much for sharing your stories, inspiring us, and also for sharing your advices. I'm also very touched by seeing how you're growing up, how some of the activities we conducted inspired you all the way, and we can't wait to see and to follow your path in the future. I think you're all very excellent, inspiring young people. We are wishing you all, we are from the heart, we are wishing you all the best. Thank you. Thank you very much. So we are already 2.5 hours together here with us, and it's weekend. So let's come to the second part of today's activity, and let me do this briefly. Today's first part of the conference was maybe to learn and to get insights into graduate unemployment situation in Iraq, but also to get inspired and to get some ideas. And I think our keynote speakers did an excellent job in giving us broad insights, but also very concrete examples into where young people, academics, can not just create work for themselves, but also for others, and maybe at the same time also be part of the change and change burning social issues. We already saw in the chat, many of you got inspired and wanted to discuss situations more. I think also with hearing success stories of students. We are also knowing situations are not the same for everyone. And also we want to give place and enough time for everyone who joined this conference today to share their own stories, to make new friends and to discuss the problems from the perspective. And for this, we want to use the next month of the conference to further discuss with you in smaller groups. So today is done, inputs sessions. The next step of our conference is that we want to meet in smaller groups to discuss today's talks, reflect, and create ideas, maybe even create small and develop small business ideas together. So you will be all invited to meet other students of the group and lecturers to discuss over the next weeks. And you will receive an email by a specific lecturer and you get invited to participate. The idea is that in the middle of June, 19th of June, we will meet again and further discuss your conclusions and the ideas you developed. Professor Anwar, maybe you want to support with translation. Yeah.
الآن راح تجيكم الطلبة المشاركين، راح تجيكم إيميلات حول المحاضرات اللي راح حول عفوا المحاضرين اللي راح يلقون عليكم أو يجتمعون بكم، وراح نستفاد من المحاضرات اللي استمعناها اليوم من الأساتذة المتخصصين وأيضا من خبرة الطلاب والمتخرجين كيف حصلوا على هذا النجاح. هم في الحقيقة بدأوا خطوات نجاحهم ونتوقع لهم مستقبل كبير. هذه الخطوات راح تصلكم عن طريق الإيميل. راح تكون هناك اجتماعات ونقاشات تبلور أفكار، وهي هذه الأفكار سوف تطرح في اليوم الأخير اللي هو في يوم 19/6. عندنا مهلة شهر تقريبا، شهر تقريبا، وتطرح في يوم 19/6. راح تستلمون الإيميلات بريد إلكتروني من قبل المحاضر، وراح يوجه لكم دعوة. راح تجتمعون كل مجموعة من الطلبة تم الاختيار عشوائيا مع محاضر أو اثنين، على الأغلب اثنين راح يكونون، ويحدد لكم موعد والاجتماع أونلاين لمناقشة هذا الموضوع والخروج بأفكار حول هذا الموضوع. Thank you.
How do you find your group and how can you follow what to do? We learned today that for many young people from Mosul, getting familiarized, developing skills and competencies in new technologies was an entrance route for them, to create jobs for themselves, to enter the labor market. So we thought we are also going to use a new modern collaboration tool as part of the conference, to further our discussions and to enable everyone to follow what we are doing. You will have access to this learning space, which is an interactive whiteboard space, via these two links. And I will quickly show you what you can find there. Here you find information on the conference today. You also can read up and follow up on today's conference program, find information on our speakers. Also, you will find the speaker's presentation here in the conference space. We have a library where there's more resources where you can read up on information. We have a gallery space where we will be posting and sharing pictures of our activity. And every small group which will be meeting over the next months has their own small classroom, their own small classrooms where you can exchange ideas with each other, exchange information, how you're working, and maybe posting some of the results of your discussion already for everyone to see what you are working on.
برنامج ميرو، هذا البرنامج هو عبارة عن سبورة بيضاء أو لوحة بيضاء. البرنامج هو من البرامج الممتازة، بالإمكان استخدام جميع البرامج داخل هذا البرنامج. بالإمكان وضع ملصقات، تحديد مثل ما حاليا بالبرنامج تم تهيئة صفوف للطلبة المشاركين مع المحاضرين. أيضا توجد خلاصة عن الأساتذة اللي حضروا هذا اليوم وأعطونا محاضراتهم القيمة، وأيضا محاضراتهم تم تثبيتها هنا ومعلومات عنهم. وأيضا يوجد في هذا البرنامج مكتبة للاطلاع على أي معلومات نستفاد منها، وفي حالة حاجتنا إلى أي برنامج بالإمكان استخدامه مباشرة في هذا البرنامج.
And you will find, of course, some more information on the concept of our conference. Also, if you need help and you have further questions, we have a help desk in advising you what to do if you feel lost. And if you look on this board, if you've already signed up for the conference, you will be able here on the list to spot your name and find out in which group you are. And this group, this number here next to your name, for example, Ahmed having the number as 2. So Ahmed knows who found his name. Ahmed knows he will be in one of the science groups. So he will go to the science space, and you will find your group information on your lecturers, and also informations of your fellow students in the group here. So Ahmed will be in the group with Dr. Saad and Ms. Suhaib, and they will contact Ahmed and invite Ahmed to when is the date in which Ahmed will meet them in this. And here Ahmed will already find the link for the Zoom meeting for this discussion group.
نعم، في هذا البرنامج بالإمكان أي طالب أنه يبحث عن اسمه student list في قائمة الأسماء الطلبة، ويشوف هو وين في أي مجموعة. مثل ما أخذت مثال أنه هناك طالب اسمه أحمد وتسلسله 2، فمباشرة أنه هو يقع في مجموعة العلوم مع دكتور سعد غانم ودكتور صهيب، اللي هي راح يكونون المحاضرين لهذا الطالب. مثل ما ذكرنا أيضا ميزة هذا البرنامج بأنه يختلف عن أي برامج أخرى، بأنه بالإمكان استخدام جميع البرامج الموجودة على الويب، على الإنترنت. ممكن أي برنامج نحتاجه ندخله في هذا البرنامج.
So, and what I'll do, I'll just here for you in the chat, I'll also just post for you the links so that you can access this board already and find and look up the information. If you need help, always just write us an email. If you have not signed up yet, but you still want to be part of a group, you will use this link in the Google Forms, which already has been in the chat quite some time, and Mr. Felix will just post it again in a minute. So if you still want to be part and you want to sign up, please do that. And I think now it's time to come to an end for this conference. I would like to every one of us to invite you so that we make a final group picture. And while we are doing that, I would also like to invite Dr. Fauzi, who is also member of the steering group. And maybe while we are all getting ready to take a final group picture, Dr. Fauzi, you would like to have some closing words to today's conference.
Thank you, Dr. Heike. Actually, in the end of the beginning day of our conference, we want to thank in the beginning our keynotes, Dr. Mufid and Dr. Samad and Shelba from Africa. And we want to thank the student which they give us their experience actually. And it is very useful for us in this month. We will depend upon what they speak, all the keynotes, and we will try to discuss with the student to get new ideas to open the light in the end of the tunnel. Must be do it because depending on the government or in the employing by the government is so hard. And we have to try ourselves to get the job by our own experience, which we get it from the university and from the life. So in the end, we thanks all the people who share us, the student, the teacher, and our steering committee, Dr. Anwar and Mr. Raed and Dr. Amal and Dr. Sarra for their patience and their arranging this beginning day of the conference. They done well and we hope success with our first day, and we will continue in our job to the end of the conference, and see you in the 19th of June to get brilliant ideas to share our city, our university with these new ideas. Maybe it will be useful for us. Thank you for the all. And please now we want to take a photo together to remember each other and to be together in the end of the 19th of the June, we hope. God willing.
It's always so nice to see so many pictures. I think it's the time already while everyone is joining with their camera to give thanks to everyone. Many thanks to our keynote speaker, Dr. Sama, Dr. Mufid, Ms. Shiluba, Ms. Iman, Ms. Basma, Mr. Abdullah. Thank you very much for sharing your experiences and wisdom with us today. So exciting. And we are still 100 people here who survived 3 hours in front of the computer. In between, we were up to 200 people who were here and who are part of the community of excellent, sharp minds from 3 continents, 3 countries across 3 universities. It's always a pleasure meeting you. Thank you very much for all making time today. And I think it's now to Mr. Felix to tell us, did everyone have the opportunity to open their cameras and to be part of those who wanted to be part of the picture taking today, Mr. Felix?
I cannot see everybody's picture yet, but it should be possible for everybody to open his camera or her camera.
So maybe then we just wait for another minute. I will. So you will see what's going to happen here already. I took a small snap picture when you didn't watch of the first picture from my group. So this is where for all of our activities now we are going to share. We are going to share for everyone in our online space. The pictures we took. So, but now I will stop sharing my screen and I will ask everyone to smile. And maybe another time, I don't, Mr. Felix has broken his arm, so I don't know how fast he is in taking pictures. So another time. And then I think we are, so I took quite some pictures. If you also took some pictures, if you also took some pictures to share with everyone where you think you look nice and you want that to be shared with everyone, feel free invited also to post things. Either we also have a Facebook page, you can also share the pictures on Instagram with us if you like, or in our virtual conference space. We are so excited to have been having you. Thank you very much for attending. We are even more excited to get to know you better over the last months in various small groups, discussing with you, getting to know you, hearing from you what you think and what your perspectives are. And thank you very much for coming all today and contributing to this conference.
Thank you, Dr. Heike. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you for all you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
It was a great day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's nice. Yeah.
I'm from Malaysia, so say hi from Malaysia.
Oh,
To all of you.
So
Okay.
four continents. So really a global
Thank you very much.
experience today.
Thank you
for
very
coming.
much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Anytime, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye,
Dr.
everyone.
Mufid, Dr. Anwar, Dr. Heike, Dr. Sarma, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hope to see you next month.
Thank you. Wish you luck in the upcoming days. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Iman.
Hello, Iman.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. Nice to meet you too.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Danke von meiner Seite auch und hoffentlich bald sehen wir uns.
Ja, ich freue mich drauf.
Ich mich auch sehr, sehr. War sehr entspannt. Danke.
Ja,
Schönen
danke.
Abend wünsche ich Ihnen.
Ebenso.
Danke.
Thank you, Dr. Haik. Thank you, Dr. Anwar. Thank you, Mr. Felix. Thank you, Dr. Mufid. Bye-bye.
So thanks, all of you, I think, can congratulate each other. We are getting more and more better and professional in these conferences, and I'm very excited to see how
Great day.
how the next weeks and the discussions with the students will unfold.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think it's one of the best topics we have had so far. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah. Thank you and have a good night, everybody.
You too.
Okay. So I think we'll release everyone now. Wish you a great weekend. Greetings to your families. Thank you for spending your Saturdays with us. And I think I'll invite Felix to close this meeting now. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.